Introducing PubCoin. PubCoin is the rewards program for pub sports contributors. Regular chat contributors share their play of the day, POD, in the YouTube chat, including the phrase POD in their message. At the end of the week, the amount of units earned are converted into PubCoins. PubCoin can be used as reward points for prizes, shop discounts, and contests.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Mills here, Pub Sports Radio. Do you guys want to challenge the personalities here at Pub Sports Radio? Do you guys think you're better than them at entering in your MMA predictions and picks? Would you want to get paid for it? $100? Here's how you do it, man. You sign up right here at the link below. It's just this easy. PubSportsRadio.com. Enter your email. Pick your weekly picks. That's it. Oh, and you get bonus points if you can predict how they're going to win in what round. Every single week, a new winner's getting crowned. So every Saturday on Pub Sports Radio. So come on and check us out. You can win $100 just for signing up. Only thing you need to do is see if you can beat us here at Pub Sports Radio by entering your UFC predictions and picks weekly. Do it. I dare you. See you guys soon.
Your membership to Gold, you will be automatically entered in every horse race, every Wednesday and Friday. It is time to race horses. We are racing camels today.
Shout out to the Gold members. We're racing in San Antonio immediately here. And we're off. 2 minutes, 74 canals on this racetrack. It's wide. We're racing in San Antonio.
Pat Wally moving forwardly. Jeff Slaughter in the mix as well. And as is Randall Sheffield, who's put that beautiful nose out front.
But it's actually real grass here, Jimmy. Maybe Kentucky bluegrass. Oldie, no! There he goes. There he goes. Oldie in the lead now. K. Wolf falls back. The horses love it. Sometimes they stop and eat it on the way to the finish line. That's why your horses start so far in the back. Here. Oh, look at Nussflush Allen bursting out here. J-Dub in the mix. Rude Boy up here as well. Jimmy, take it away.
There's Oldie. Oldie is moving to the front. We are past the halfway mark in our 2 mile. And there's Ricky Levy.
Oh my goodness, he's in the mix here. Jimmy, take it home. This is our first dog race ever.
19 seconds left in the horse race here. It's Fernando Mendoza trying to find the wire. 14 seconds left. Can Fernando Mendoza take this home? Here comes Kenny Can. Kenny Can wants a piece of the pie. Put his schnoz up front. Ricky Bobby, 9 seconds left. Can Donut Silks make a run? Can Res Mall make a run to be $50?
You son of a bitch!
Here comes Tori Coker. Kenny Can Smoking Mirrors. Director 97 home. That is the way. Here comes Jason Meyer, the Eldorado Custodian. Billy Friedrich. Jones one all coming down the advantage.
Coin! Nowhere!
Oh no! Fanatical Jim!
From the corporate Peter Low Shack, legendary sports handicapper, more dapper than a dawn. Father young phenom, known as Jimmy, who declared one day that the bag was here to stay. Information like a PSA, when we all PSR Pub Sports Radio bizarre. There's a man named Slaughter and he flipped the script. No competition in this they quit the trip. But we say we be pubbing, better with the bag and you love it. You want a top 10, we above it. Leche.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Thursday. Well, my camera a little blurry. Let's get that straightened out. Happy February 13th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. I feel like I've broken through the COVID. I still got this like pounding headache that I can't get rid of. but I feel like I've broken through to the other side. What a roller coaster ride we've been on the last couple of days with our action. I thought I was in great shape. The essay 3-1. The only loser was that Loyola Maryland by 2 points. I mean, I thought I was going to sweep the board in college basketball. And then 5-6 in NBA. It actually looked like it was going to be a rough night. The double up on the Clippers, double result, and the Clippers full game cashed. But if I had just been here with Wine Time and Brizzy, I'm sure I would have done much better. Wine Time off a 10-1 day here on our show, 10-1 in NBA and college basketball. Shout out to Wine Time Sports, and he's not the only guy we need to shout out. Kelly McInnes gave us. He called it the exact final score of Canada-Sweden. Now, if Binnington didn't look bad in a couple of those goals, would never come to fruition. But good God, Kelly McInnes, 4-3 Canada in overtime. Spectacular work to our guy, Kelly McInnes. So Kelly McInnes calls the final score in our chat here. Great to see all you guys. Justin McKelvey, Dallas Mavericks over 221.5. UC Davis minus 109. Let's get this all copied and pasted. We have a lot of work to do. Bobano will be joining us. I have 22 games for Bobano to break down college basketball. I'm not sure if we're going to get to them all. I hope that we will. I'm not sure if we will get to them. I have moved on 2 spots in college basketball that I like very much. Gerald Jones in the house. Drexel Hampton over 131. There's Jermaine ready to get to work. Viper MC says Paul George had 2 points and played 37 minutes. God, jeez, and what a contract he has. I mean, that's the problem with the NBA right now. These contracts are so monstrous. Just the players have so much control. Slow Jams Arsenal, let's bounce back for you here. Kong's Smash play today. Chet Holmgren, 3+ blocks at plus 175. Chet coming home here, of course. Played high school ball. Forget the name offhand. I have it in my notes, but I know he played high school ball in Minnesota. So Chet coming home. Irish King in the house. Tone Miggins ready to go. Paco Healy ready to eat. Nasty Nate says, how about that Celtics trifecta? Nasty Nate in the house. Serious Business. Richard Osborne. Nicholas Handy. Wine Time Sports. What a day you had. Wine Time. Paco Healy says UCSD minus 11.5 banger. Kelly McInnes, thank you. I may be lying to myself a little bit, but who cares? Sometimes you need to tell yourself that you're getting better, even if you may not be. But look, I want to be here. That's the key. Nasty Nate says 34 more motherfucking days till Pubapalooza. Pubapalooza 4, baby. Good God, I'm excited about that. I am excited about that. Dougie Wise, free bands play day. Rockets -6 at minus 115. Going to be no Terry Eason for the Rockets. No Steven Adams for the Rockets. But I thought about that look too. I mean, Warriors coming off that overtime game. I did want to talk it out. We have It's Derl joining us for that. It's Derl will be joining us for that. Most Jose is joining us. Jose is here with us today, so we're gonna have Jose. Now he's got to make it. We'll have him fully with us in an hour, but he'll be with us. He'll be we'll be racing camels as we do. We'll be racing camels. Dan Kelly Golf, the Genesis from Torrey Pines, elevated event, no cuts, lots of good golfers, $20 million purse, $4 million to the winner. The Mutters should take the early lead, so wait till after Friday's round and pick a good golfer in the pack to make a charge here. Lex Steele shouting out Wine Time Sports. Mike Wilkerson says the Warriors messed up a perfect parlay. I'm sorry to hear that. Slatsy says, what a night at the Bell Center. Mario walked out was magical. You know, I've been taking a lot of heat here with the young kids for saying Mario and Luigi. That's because of Mario Lemieux. He was announced as Mario Lemieux. He wasn't announced as Mario Lemieux. I've only known him as Mario Lemieux, but what a hockey game that was last night. Crosby was phenomenal. I mean, it wasn't that just so William Nylander of himself to have a high sticking penalty 45 seconds in. I mean, if you were a Swedish fan, wouldn't you lose your mind? Wouldn't you just lose your mind? A high sticking penalty 45 seconds in with that crowd going bananas and out comes McDavid, McKinnon, and Crosby. Come Come on. So it was a magic night, Slatsy, no doubt about it. Louisville minus 6.5, an easy casher for Klong's Clips. There's Nathan Bayer ready to get to work. Dan Kelly said, saw the Nets total down to 21.5 a month or so ago. Did not have the balls to double down on it. I'm glad we got it. And there's Nathan Bayer. Yes, Chet went to Minnehaha Academy in Minneapolis, about 15 minutes from me. That's dope, Nathan Bayer, and he's probably excited to be back home for this one. Joey B, yeah, you are right on the first one. Now, I don't think that game wasn't over, and I'm going up against you again tonight. I think that was fortunate. That Sweden's second goal was fortunate. I don't, but you cashed it, and I'm betting against it again tonight. But you're 1 for 1, and I'm 0 for 1, Joey B. We'll see how it bangs out. Lex Steele. Paco Ely says Cal Poly should roll against a pathetic Fuller team. We'll lay the 7.5. Probably will go to 8. Rem Most is with me on the under. There is a move towards the under. I didn't get the perfect time. I saw it moving back towards the under and moved on it. It upsets me a little. My whole plan was to only bet unders in the Finland game, and I got kind of just studying Sweden's defense. I was like, good God, they're going to be hard to score on. Great to see all of you guys. Aubrey Travis ready to go. Justin McKelvey says, big shout out to Wine Time. Absolutely killed it and brought us with them. The Sweaty Butcher in the house. Rob McMahon. Troy Torrance under 145.5 in Hofstra. William and Mary. Very similar profile to the Bonaventure game yesterday. That was an easy casher for Troy Torrance. Excellent work from our guy, Troy. Von Polo. Yes, we got the Blazers. Thank God. That was important because I lost the Blazers first quarter. I was in danger last night. I'm fortunate to go 5-6 in NBA. Slow Jams Arsenal boxing first vlog in the house. Great to see you. Let's get to work. Spooner on Jacksonville State moneyline, Maryland moneyline, and Drexel moneyline. And we have another prediction. So let's see if Kelly can go 2 for 2. Prediction for tonight's game: USA 5, Finland 1. USA 5, Finland 1. All right, it is almost time for us to get started in the Four Nations. Our first guest, we have a great show. As I said, Bobano with us for Four Nations and college basketball. Daby Cab going to join us for the two spotlight games: Maryland, Nebraska, Memphis, South Florida. We will still get Bobano's thoughts on that one as well. And then Darryl will be joining us for NBA. Bet the Sky here is on North Carolina A&T and Elon under 144.5. Let's get that copy and paste. That's down to 141.5. Let's get that all here because we will be talking about that conference. I don't know if we get to that game. I don't think we do, but I will still have it here. We're going to have to work quickly. If we don't get to all of the games, that happens. We'll that's okay. But we're going to try to milk as much of the great Bobano as possible. Speaking of the great Bobano, let's bring him on to the show. Thank you guys for joining us here Thursday, February 13th, 34 days before Pubapalooza in San Antonio. Please welcome from Canada's black and yellow steel town, our friend, Mr. Ian Cameron, to the telecast. Bobano, how are you?
I'm good. Snow-ridden, but good.
Yes, snow day today here in Toronto. I love it, man. I love it. Wine Time says Utah Jazz was a beautiful thing last night. It sure was. Let's get to work here in the Four Nations. United States, Finland here at the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec. It's a big loss losing Quinn Hughes. How perfect is he? Well, I mean, he's just perfect for all situations, but wouldn't he just be absolutely perfect in a tournament of this nature? You heard our thoughts and breakdowns on this game with Gokster and I yesterday, so I don't need to rehash that. What we need to hear is Bobano's plan of attack. I did follow through with the plan, though. I am on the under 6. I could have got minus 113. I sent it in at minus 115. Also, the first period under 1.5 was at plus money. That went away this morning. It's minus 105, but I moved on all of those. And when I look at this Finnish defense, I get very worried for them. It's weaker than any Finnish defense that I remember. Now, they are they have such unity, and they'll be able to. I imagine. I mean, America is such a dangerous hockey team. A little less dangerous without Quinn Hughes, but I think this is a 1-3-1, boring trap style Devils in the early '90s hockey game. The Barkov, Rantanen, Lehkonen line is phenomenal. I'm surprised they're putting line A up with Aho and Hintz. If you're that concerned, which I would be, of the America's offense, I would put Granlund or Armia up there. And maybe they do. Maybe line A makes one ass clown poor decision and he gets bumped to the bottom here. But their defense, Mikola Lindell, Matan Palo Vakanainen, Olimata Yokiharu, is questionable. Now, again, Finland always seems to be more than the sum of their parts. And good God, they better be tonight in Montreal. America offense looks absolutely deadly. I mean, we're talking deadly. We went over the lineup. We'll just do a quick review here before Bobano fires away. Eichel, Kachuk, and Connor. I mean, nasty. Gensel, Matthews, Hughes. Good God. JT Miller, Brady Kachuk, Matt Boldy. Dylan Larkin, Trocheck, Brock Nelson. I was a little surprised to hear that. I knew that Kreider would be the questionable guy, whether he would get in or not, but that Larkin was as well. This is what you saw from the Canadian forwards was a group so dynamic that they're off. The guys like Seth Jarvis, Sammy Reinhart were playing so defensively responsible. They were all in, and the Americans are just as capable of delivering that kind of performance. Guys, like a Boldy or a Larkin will play more defensively accountable. They know their bottom six forwards in here. So it's just going to be a very, very exciting game to watch. As we said, this total was at 5.5 for a long time, but it opened here offshore at 6 minus 114 to the under. It's now minus 117 to the under, so 3 cents of movement towards the under. On the money line here, Finland is plus 304. They opened up at plus 279. There's been a 22-cent move towards the mighty Americans, and that's who they are. The mighty Americans. If anybody's watching international hockey of late, America has pulled ahead of Canada. But again, this is Canada. We have not. Nathan McKinnon's never been on a best and best. We haven't seen Team Canada together since 2016. And if you were watching the game last night, you saw the stat for Sidney Crosby, as they're now 26-0 in his last 26 games for Team Canada. Hearing them chant Crosby, it was a magical night. Do we have another magical night in store? Bobano, take it away. The four nations, Finland versus America.
It's one of those tournaments where it took me a while to get excited about it, just because, it's not quite what we're going to see next year at the Olympics, when we're going to have at least 8 countries there, and it's going to be a better representation of the best, when Germany will be there and Czechia will be there, Slovakia will be there. Who knows? Maybe by next year, Russia's going to be
Russia's in. It's already. They're already in.
They're already in.
That's already been cleared. They're in the Olympics next year.
There you go. So from that standpoint, that's going to be phenomenal. That's going to be absolutely outstanding. And the only thing I didn't love about this was it's only the 4 countries. And now, look, this is 4 of the best. There's no doubt. I think in anybody's top 5 countries in hockey in the world right now, you would put Canada, USA, Sweden, and Finland. I don't think there's much debate there. But you're still missing something with Germany and Czechia and Russia and some of those, Slovakia, some of those other teams not it. So it took me a while to warm up to this tournament. But then I watched that game last night, and I'm like, holy shit, you can't tell me this isn't better than an all-star weekend. My goodness. And that dopey skills competition and all that crap we watch year in and year out. You can't tell me this is not better than that. It was a phenomenal hockey game. It was a sweep of the board for me with both team totals over and the full game over in that game. So betting-wise, it was great. Viewing-wise, it was an absolutely spectacular hockey game. Now, this game, you mentioned the under. This is the one I could see being a little bit lower scoring, a little bit cagey. But my big concern is the Finnish defense. It's everybody. It has to be everybody's concern with Finland going into this game tonight, because they have lost not 1, not 2, but 3 guys that were going to be starting defensemen for this country due to injuries that took place in the NHL season. They were supposed to have Rasmus Ristolainen as part of this blue line. Nope, out due to injury. They were supposed to have Joni Hakanpää for this team on the blue line. Nope, never was able to return yet for the Leafs and suit up due to injury. He's also out. But the biggest one of all, and the massive blow that I think is just a a kind of loss that they just cannot fill that hole is Miro Heiskanen. I mean, that's just absolutely devastating for them because he is by far the best defenseman that they would have had on this team. A guy that would have played upwards of 30 minutes, a guy that was going to play in every situation imaginable, even strength, power play, penalty kill, end of game situations, protecting a lead, end of game situations, trying to tie the game late, you name it. Miro Heiskanen was going to play in that role for Finland. And now you look at what they've got there in the second and in the third pair. You know, it is a huge drop off. You know, I don't mind the top pair, Lindell and Mikkola. You know, I think they're very capable, but after that, there's big concerns. You look at a pairing like Martin Palo and Vakanainen. Vakanainen's been a third pair defenseman his whole career. Martin Palo's played 40 fucking games in the NHL. That's it. 40. And now you're going to have to trust this group to shut down, like third and fourth lines are who they're going to be playing against. Yes, but this is not a third or fourth line that you see at the NHL level in an NHL game during the NHL season. This is a third and fourth line for the United States that's a number one line for most NHL teams. Like, okay, Martin Palo and Vakanainen and really the second and the third pair as well. Your task is shutting down perhaps the fourth line of the U.S., which just happens to have a guy like Dylan Larkin on it. Like, are you shitting me? Dylan Larkin's on a fourth line. He's only played like wildfire for the Detroit Red Wings. He's played unbelievably well since Todd McClellan took over. He's playing as well as anybody on that U.S. roster heading into this tournament. And, oh, yeah, he's on their fourth line. And this makeshift finished defense is going to have to try to shut him and that line down. Have fun with that. Good luck with that. It is a very tall order, in my opinion, and a very tough challenge, in my opinion, for them to do that. And then you throw into the fact that I think they've really screwed up here, Finland, by giving UC Saros the start. I would have given it to Kevin Lankinen. I would have even given it to UPL. I would have given it to anyone but Saros. And I know Saros is experienced. He's the veteran guy compared to the other two, but he has had a miserable season in Nashville. He has not played well. And now you got to deal with this firepower that the U.S. is going to bring. I have real concerns for Finland here defensively. They are going to try to trap it up. They are going to try to clog up the neutral zone, take away the middle of the. You have to play that way. You can't play run and gun and trade chances with the United States. The question is this blue line good enough to play that way and good enough to execute and keep this very vaunted, deep American lineup off the board? I'm not so sure about that. So the way I approach this game is, because I think the U.S. is going to get theirs as far as goals. You know, I could see them getting 4, just like Canada did last night, but I don't know what the Finland offense is going to do against the United States, who I think are sound at the back end. And more importantly, they've got the front runner to win the Vezina Trophy in net for them, and Connor Hellebuck. Now, Connor Hellebuck's got his own skeletons in the closet. This is a guy that in big games has, quite frankly, shit the bed. You know, playoff performances have not been good. So I guess that's the one glimmer of hope you hang on to if you're Finland, that Hellebuck is not exactly Mr. Reliable in a big spot. This is his chance to prove everyone wrong, and he's certainly motivated to do that. If he plays like regular season Hellebuck, it's going to be a tough night for Finland to find the back of the net. If he struggles like he did in the postseason last year, then Finland's got a chance, to make some things happen offensively. I don't want to guess. I feel much better about trusting the U.S. 4-line attack, 4-line wave against a very depleted, very shorthanded, and quite frankly, depth-challenged U.S. lineup. So the primary bet for me in this game, which I mentioned it on the Ice Guys show yesterday. So if you watch that show, you already know where I'm going. I'm on USA team total, over 3.5, minus 142 is the best price right now at Pinnacle with that. That's, I think, the best way to approach it. Obviously, you're talking money line price that I'm not interested in. And why lay a minus 375 price when you can lay a minus 142? And the way I see it, if the U.S. wins this game, they're likely scoring 4. We saw it with Canada. I think in a lot of games in this tournament, the winning team is going to score 4 goals, especially in the preliminary round. I could see 2-1, 3-2 happening once we get to the championship game with everything on the line. But I think the U.S. can get 4. It's just a question of, as far as the full game total, are we talking 4-1? Are we talking 4-2? Are we talking 4-3 U.S. like last night? I'm not as convinced Finland lights it up offensively. I am pretty confident the U.S. will. So for me, U.S. team total over 3.5 here.
You got it. USA team total over 3.5 minus 142. I'm on the under 6 at minus 115 and the under 1.5 first period at minus 105. Nate Dogg 420 on Matthews to score. He's also on the over 6. And we've heard Joy be heavy on overs for every game in this tournament, and he is 1-0 to get started. So that is the.
And a guest on my Ice Guys show played pro hockey overseas. He's Finnish. He's Nicholas Nevalainen. Talk to him regularly, and obviously he's very zoned in on everything Finland. Even he's worried about this blue line tonight for the Finnish team. So, and apparently back home they are concerned about, let's be real. I mean, Ristolainen, not so much.
I don't like Ristolainen. He makes terrible decisions. He is issue a red flag when he's out on the ice to me.
I don't love him too. Miro's the big one though.
Yeah,
Miro is just irreplaceable. And look, Finland's going to have to try to get by without it. They are going to play the style that you want. If you're anyone betting the under in this game, Finland's absolutely going to try to play the style that you're going to like if you're betting the under in this game, because they're going to try to just, play 1-3-1, not give the U.S. any odd man rushes, not give them the middle of the ice and try to make it play a dump and chase game, that kind of thing. But the question is, eventually, with just how much offensive firepower the U.S. has, they have the chance to forecheck that bottom two-pair defense of Finland to death. And that's the biggest concern in the game and in the matchup tonight.
I honestly feel that the injuries to the Finnish defense will help this game go under. The forwards know exactly the situation. They'll have to defend with 5 players.
Backtrack on every shift. Help them out.
And they know that. They all know that. So I honestly, and you guys know that when there's injuries on defense, I always say that doesn't mean there's going to be more scoring. It means there's going to be less scoring.
You know what they also have to do, Jimmy? They have to take it after Nylander's dummy penalty with you got to control your stick early in that hockey game if you're Nylander.
That was unbelievable.
The most vaunted power play we've got in this tournament in Canada.
In the history of ice hockey.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're going to take a high stick. You're not going to have better control of your stick than that in the first minute of the game. But after that, they didn't take another penalty. That's what allowed Sweden to settle into the game and get back into it. Finland's got to do the same tonight. If it's a penalty parade for Finland, you're done. You have to maintain your discipline tonight to give yourself a chance.
No, well put. Fun breakdown. That is the 4 nations here. So for the next a little while, I will be handling maybe Jose is still here. Okay, sorry, I thought he was okay. So, Jose, let me know then when you're leaving so I know what's going on here. I thought you were going to be gone. Slow Jam Sorry Snow says no score, first period, too juicy. Obviously, I like it. I'm on the under 1.5, but a lot of people don't like it.
If you asked me a final score prediction in this game, I would say right now, I'd say if I had to give one, it would be 4-1. Yeah, I think that's how it's going to end.
It's going to be a fun one.
That'll make Jimmy happy.
Yes, it will. It will. I got back into close to the black on the season and then dropping 2 units sucked yesterday. Let's roll on here and move into college basketball. We move on to college basketball. Let's get everything set up here cash-wise. We're not going to get a ton of info, but enough info, especially on some of these early games. And then the spread. Now, we got to move quickly. If we don't get to all of them, we'll rapid fire with Bobano through the last group of games. But let's try. And I can handle pace. I'll let you know when we need to speed up. Let's roll 5 p.m. Eastern with the Monmouth Hawks, 8-17, 6-6 in the CAA at Stony Brook Seawolves, 6-19, 2-10. We're Island FCU Arena in Stony Brook, New York. Line history-wise, look, I've been staring at Stony Brook. I've been staring at them all day. Obviously, this market indicates how live Stony Brook is here at home. But we have had 4 cents of movement towards Monmouth. I've seen a couple of these books at a hook for Monmouth from 2 to 2.5. On a total scenario here, we have a 142 minus 111 to the over. This opened up at 143. This got down to 141, so we've got a point back at 142. Barry Smith saying, "Going to tell you for the last time, Queens, North Carolina gets the money. Thank you, Super True Story. I feel like I've broken through. I feel like I have broken through here a little bit. So thank you. Let's get to the cash flow here. 35% of tickets, 71% cash is on Stony Brook on the spread. And it's the same deal on the money line. 24% of tickets and 83% cash is on Stony Brook. Again, we've seen that half-point move or so towards Monmouth. 87% of tickets and 89% cash is on the under. That's something that you rarely see. Now the market is following in its footsteps here. Monmouth comes in off having their 3-game winning streak snapped in a 73-67 loss at home versus Towson on Saturday as 3.5-point dogs. If Monmouth was coming in off of a win, I'd already be on Stony Brook. Stony Brook snapped their 3-game losing streak with an impressive 80-75 victory at Hofstra on Saturday as 12.5-point dogs. That would be something that would lead me to, not want to back them again. But this is a team that's 2-10 in conference. And they're playing their best basketball of the season. Why wouldn't they feel good going to the arena? Having the win does not bother me. Now, they did shoot 48.9 from the field and 52.9 from 3. So you could say, well, how could they keep that shooting up? I mean, there's reasons why I haven't bet Stony Brook already. They've been playing the best teams in the conference of late and playing them all tough. They lost at Monmouth earlier this year badly. 78-56 to 6.5-point dogs. In that one, Stony Brook shot 32.8 from the field and 15% from 3, while Monmouth shot 54.9 from the field and 52.6 from 3. Take it away for us, Bobano, our first game on the board, Monmouth, Stony Brook.
Yeah, I like Monmouth here. I think they're off a loss. They're a better team. Stony Brook, to me, look, they've been covering, but, covering is big dogs. Covering is 16-point dog and still losing. That's the key until they beat Hofstra 80-75 on the weekend on the road, which is a pretty solid win for them. They have been better offensively, but you've got King Rice has been around the block, and this is a Monmouth team as well. That loss at home to Towson was pretty impressive in defeat, only lost by 6. Towson's a very good team, one of the best teams in the CAA this season. Pat Scarry's an outstanding coach for Towson, and it was a very, very good effort from Monmouth, but they fell short. Now they go on the road, and I like that they're off a loss. Focus should be there for this game. So I like the spot here for Monmouth. I think and plus their defense swarmed Stony Brook in the first meeting. I think that's got a chance to duplicate itself. The price is reasonable. It's one of these deals where with below 3, I'm interested in Monmouth. I wouldn't want to lay points with Monmouth, significant points on the road, but we've got a playable price here in the minus 135 range. So I like the Hawks here on the road in a nice spot, bounce back after a game where, look, no shame in losing to Towson, a very good basketball team, very good defensively. So I like Monmouth in this spot, minus 135.
Monmouth minus 135 for Bobano. Again, we don't have records up this week just because I'm dealing with COVID and I'm just a bit of a mess, and just every last bit of energy I'm putting into the capping right now. And the records, as you can imagine, are painstaking and take a lot of time. So they'll be back.
Because I have to track and record and calculate all my shit every day and every night. So that takes a while, and especially the way I bet.
But I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed it, following your action. So, but there's nothing here today for us. Monmouth for Bobano. Troy saying Monmouth profiles as the play. Again, I love the way Stony Brook's playing. I think this line is put out to get people to bet Monmouth. I don't know if I'm going to get in the way with it, especially with Bobano on Monmouth. And Troy saying it profiles to Monmouth. Troy Torrance, also an important point. Monmouth has played 4 straight home games. There's certain teams coming off
playing better. I get it, no doubt. But
there's certain teams coming off a win that doesn't bother me. Like Aubrey Travis says, Monmouth off a loss, Stony Brook off of a win. When you're 2-10 in conference and 6-19 on the season, I don't mind you coming in off a win. Are you feeling better about yourself? Are you excited to go to the arena? Are you going to get together and keep playing some winning basketball? It's a little different when you're a team that's just fared so poorly. But I certainly don't have the conviction to go up against Bobano right now. So I'll sit with this and see what the market does. Let's roll on. 5 p.m. Eastern, we have the California Baptist Lancers, 12-11, 5-4 in the WAC at the UT Arlington Mavericks, 11-13, 4-6 in the WAC, College Park Center in Arlington, Texas. A lot of us in the Northeast are snowed in and going nowhere. So 5 p.m. starts our music to our ears. We want action all day and all night, just like we'll be having in Pubapalooza. This total is a 144. It's minus 115 to the under. Open up minus 110 to the under. We've had 5 cents of movement to the under. On the point spread here for this one, we have UTA +1 minus 117. They opened up at +1.5, and then they became the favorite. UTA was the favorite as of 8:30 this morning. Didn't last that long. Now, I mean, it's basically a pick 'em right now, so it's not been a ton of movement. We do have movement towards UTA regardless. We get to the cash flow here for this one. We have all the information. 39% of the tickets and 22% of the cash on UT Arlington. Here's another spot with 87% of tickets and 83% cash on the under, something we see so rarely. And then on the money line, 47% of tickets and 83% cash on UTA. Troy Torrance bet this one. He's on UT Arlington +1. Justin McKelvey, Arlington +1.5 in his pocket. And Rick J going back to Monmouth, which is one road win back in November. Look, Rick, I'm certainly going to spend more time with that spot. I just right now I can't. I don't have the conviction now at all. But let's roll in this one. Cal Baptist comes in off its third win in 4 games. 85-71 at home versus Grand Canyon on Saturdays. 5.5-point dogs. That was a big win. UT Arlington comes in off its second straight loss, 67-65 at Seattle on Saturdays, 9.5-point dogs. And this is their first meeting with the Lancers. Again, we got a few of these situations here. They faced them again in Riverside on March 8th. Interest here, Bobano, Cal Baptist, Lancers at UT Arlington. Take it away.
Yeah, Cal Baptist, great win for them in their last game against Grand Canyon, 5.5-point underdogs, 85-71. Very impressive victory for them. They've been very strong of late. 3 of their last 4 wins, 4 of their last 6 they've won. On the road's been a bit of a different story, though. Just 3-5 for this Cal Baptist team on the road. UT Arlington, a team that, early in January, I'm like, what the hell's wrong with this team? I thought they'd be a little bit better than this, and they couldn't get out of their own way. And then they reeled off 4 straight wins. They beat Seattle. They beat Abilene Christian, Southern Utah, Delaware State. They got pounded by Utah Valley's very good team in this WAC conference, so no shame in that. At Seattle, Seattle's a very good home team. They lost by 2 but covered the number. I'm seeing improvement from from Arlington, rather. 4-2 and straight up their last 6 games. They were able to cover on the road against Seattle. More importantly, here at home, they've been pretty solid. You look at their recent home wins. They beat Southern Utah. They beat Seattle here at home, 65-56. They took Utah Valley down to the wire here at home, lost by 2. And the most important thing for Arlington is they're starting to finally, after some struggles early in conference play better on the defensive end of the court. That's very important for them going into this game. And I like the spot for them. You know, Cal Baptist coming off a huge home win. They're making the trip all the way now to Arlington, Texas. You know, it's a decent travel. Early start on a Thursday. Arlington sitting at home, basically waiting for them here in this game. They're actually coming back from Seattle, but you get my point. You know, still for Arlington, they got Cal Baptist making the trip here. Not easy, in my opinion. You look at head-to-head and between these two teams, and last year here in Arlington won pretty convincingly. I think it's a good spot. I don't trust Cal Baptist. The Lancers have not been great away from the West Coast this year. So I'm going to take UT Arlington here, +1.5, -118.
You got it. +1.5, -118. You're joining Justin McKelvey and Troy Torrance in that one. Seeing you guys all together on UT Arlington, I'll definitely have some asterisks around it and take a closer look as this show moves forward. Lex Steele also on UT Arlington. Shout out to our guy Lex Steele in the house. Let's roll on to my first bet on the program. Now, I've only made 2, so it's nice to have one to pop off here. NJIT Highlanders. Even if this was a 10-game slate, I wanted this game on the show because I'm on the Highlanders first half +10 at -110. They're just 5-20 on the season, 2-8 in the American East. At the Bryant Bulldogs, 15-10, 9-1 in the American East. Chase Athletic Center in Smithfield, Rhode Island for this one. For me, when obviously Bryant Bulldogs are the class of the American East. They bounced back from their first American East loss. It was, then they took care of it. 78-71, they win at Binghamton as 8.5-point favorites. And these teams just met Newark. They just met. 92-70 win for Bryant as 12.5-point favorites. And for me, I want to fade teams who are by far the class of the conference against the worst team in the conference when they're at home, not when they're on the road. When I believe that being on the road, there's a certain amount of accountability that must happen immediately. The crowd's cheering against you. You are the enemy. It's a business trip. Sometimes when you're at home and you're a college kid and you have the shittiest team in the conference, the Highlanders roll in, you get a little lackadaisical. And I thought the double digits at 10 was just too many points. And NJIT coming off their third straight loss, 80-69 at New Hampshire on Saturday. They were 1.5-point favorites in that one. It was a poorly played basketball game. I just believe that they can stay in this for 20 minutes. Let's get into the line history here for this one. NJIT opened up here at plus 16, minus 110 each way. There's been a 1 cent move to Bryant. Now, this only opened up at 8:12 this morning, so hasn't been around for long. A 1 cent move towards the class of the conference. From a total standpoint, we have a 148.5 at a pick'em. Then when we get to the cash flow, we have all the information that we need. 63% of the tickets are on Bryant and 81% of the cash. So, bigger bets coming in on Bryant. Oh, it just changed, though. Just changed. Interesting. 59% of the tickets and 77% of the cash. 62% of tickets, 63% cash on the over. And, 365 had this first half line out. Well, a lot of books didn't have first half lines out. I was surprised they were offering a 10. I knew a couple offshores that had it out at 9.5, juiced quite heavily to NJIT. Right now, that first half, here offshore, opened up at 9:58 a.m. I'd already made the bet at plus 9.5, minus 115 to NJIT. So that kind of backed up my thought process that this was just too many points. Now, not every book has the 9.5 juiced. If you go to other offshores, the 9.5 is juiced towards Bryant. But a few of them have the 9.5 juiced towards NJIT, and I got the 10 at minus 110. Nasty Nate says Bryant smashes. Joey B, if you are worried about 1-800-GAMBLER, I mean, we put lipstick on pigs and we bet them. We bet every single thing we possibly can. So.
There's an edge. Yeah.
So we bet it all, man. We bet it all. If my son Carter is just turned 4, if he was playing basketball and we were all watching, we'd be betting on the game. Take it away, Bobano, NJIT, Bryant.
Yeah, I've been waiting to fade Bryant at some point because Bryant was just rolling. Bryant for the longest time, the Bears were just, absolute Bulldogs. I mean, they were just absolutely, rolling in conference play with some, they crushed. They had the win against New Hampshire. They were covering numbers left and right throughout the tournament here. Not actually, if you go back to January 4th, they crushed Maine. They crushed Vermont, who are down this year. By the way, for those of you that pay attention to this conference, Vermont's not the same team this year. There's clearly issues there with that team, and I love John Becker. He's been a stalwart head coach there for decades, but he doesn't have the horses in the barn like he's had in the past there with that Catamounts team. Albany, they crushed by 10, 23 against UMass Lowell, 19 against New Hampshire, 14 against Binghamton. Beat UMBC, who's a pretty good team, the Retrievers. They already played NJIT once at NJIT, beat them 92-70, thumped them, Bryant, in that game. But lo and behold, since that win at NJIT, they were 11-point favorites at home against Albany. They lost outright. It was one of the worst games Bryant's played this season. They did bounce back straight up wise at Binghamton, and they won 78-71, but they didn't cover. They were laying 8 in that game. Has the number finally caught up to this Bryant team? I think it has. You look at NJIT coming into this game, not a good team, 5-20, 0-14 straight up on the road. That people will look at that and say, how can we take NJIT on the road? They haven't won a fucking road game this year, this team. Look at the margins in these road games in conference play here in the America East. UMass Lowell, 8-point road loss. Vermont, and I know they're down this year, but to be 15.5-point dogs at Vermont and only lose by 4, that's pretty decent. At Albany, 12-point dogs against the Great Danes. They lose by 6, this NJIT squad. At Maine, the Black Bears, 12.5-point dogs. They lose by 4. And then in their last road game at New Hampshire, they were slight road favorites. They lost by 11. But my point is they have not lost by this kind of margin on the road in conference play. They haven't. And so I like getting these points with the Highlanders. You're on them first half. I'm on them full game. For Bryant, they already beat the hell out of this team by 22. NJIT's actually, I found more competitive on the road at times than they've been at home. They've suffered some 20-point blowout losses at home, whereas on the road, they just find a way to hang around, and stay inside these big numbers. And it wouldn't shock me in a clear flat spot for Bryant that they do the same here. So I like Bryant here. I'll take plus 17, minus 115 with them. I also like the over in this game. I think this total's too low. It's been an over history between these two teams. We had 101-82 in March last year, the last time they played here in this gym at Bryant at the Chase Athletic Center. We saw the first meeting this year. It was 92-70 Bryant. And if Bryant covers and I lose my NJIT bet, it's probably going over the total because Bryant plays extremely fast. They're very good offensively. So I think I can go 2-0. I think even in a higher scoring game, NJIT can cover. But in case that Bryant pulls away, the over probably hits. So I see 1-1 at worst. I think it goes 2-0, though. I like NJIT plus 17, minus 115, over 148, minus 110.
You are locked in. By the way, Spooner in the house, fresh off his 30th birthday. Shout out to our guy Morgan. Says Vermont missing their TJ Long. He came back, then got re-injured. They're just now finding an offense without him. This team lacks their go-to scorer.
Offense been their problem.
Yeah, and look, Spooner says that he still expects them to win the conference.
You never did. You never rule them out because of the coach and the culture. And it's been a program that's dominated. Like, when has Vermont not represented that conference in the NCAA tournament? So you never totally discount them. But they're going to have to play some better basketball if they're going to get through this year and be that auto bid team from this conference.
Let's roll on. We stay in the American East. I like this conference too. 6 p.m. Eastern with the Albany Great Danes. Albany, 12-13, 4-6 in conference. The UMass Lowell Riverhawks, 15-9, 4-5 in conference. We're at the Costello Athletic Center in Lowell, Massachusetts. Shout out to our guy Jay Peasy, giving love to the Spoon Dog. Get into the line history here for this one. This is another game I took a long look at. Very close to moving, and I haven't yet. We have a UMass sitting at minus 5.5, but minus 111. Be no movement, a 1 cent move towards them. From a total scenario, we have a 152. It's minus 117 to the under. There's been a 2 cent move to the under. Been getting cash flow in all these games, which is a great joy. Got the same here. 68% of the tickets and 79% of the cash is on UMass Lowell. 94% of tickets and 94% of the cash is on the over. Albany comes in off their second loss in 3 games, 68-62 at home versus Vermont, the aforementioned Vermont, as 1.5-point favorites. UMass comes in off its second loss in 3 games, 66-54 at Binghamton last Thursday, as 4.5-point favorites. They just shot 30.4% from the field and 16.1% from 3 in that loss. I mean, they were horrible. These teams just met in not just met. Sorry, these teams met. It was back in January 4th in a UMass 73-69 win. That was, in Albany. Now they're in UMass. So UMass won 73-69 as 1.5-point favorites. I just didn't have enough to pull the trigger on UMass Lowell. I see the public thinking that they're going to have a bounce back shooting performance. Let's hear what Bobano has to say. Great Danes at the Riverhawks.
I like the Great Danes, actually. I like Albany here in this spot. This fits the profile, the Ian Cameron late season, regular season conference profile of a team that lost the first meeting at home, which Albany did. It was a pick'em. UMass Lowell won 73-69. The Riverhawks won back on January 4th. They're playing over a month later, and now the team in revenge mode on the road, catching points as an underdog. It's been a sweet spot, ATS, long-term in this sport. The revenge spots where you lose a home game and you're facing them in the rematch and you're getting points on the road, and that's the spot that says Bet Albany here in this spot. And I like the way Albany is starting to trend a little bit. Remember, they just knocked off, we talked about Bryant, they knocked them off 68-63. Their last road game is 11-point dogs. They lost a tough one. They haven't been great at home, actually, believe it or not, Albany. They lost as home chalk to UMBC. They didn't cover as home chalk against NJIT. They lost a small home chalk in their last game against Vermont, 68-62. But they're coming off a loss. And the one thing we've seen lately from Albany is they've been good off a loss. They lost to Bryant. They won at Binghamton. They lost to UMBC. They won at NJIT. They lost to Binghamton. They won outright at Bryant. They've been a good bounce-back team of late. And like I said, this has just been a really strong angle. When they lose the first game at home, and especially when it's a tight game, it's a close game. If it's a blowout, maybe I'm not as interested in this type of betting angle. But when it's a close competitive game, and it was in the first meeting, UMass Lowell only won 73-69. So Albany's going to take the court here, saying we could have beat these guys last time on our floor. Now we're going there. Let's dole out some payback. And then you flip it around to UMass Lowell, and suddenly when you look at them, they've had some ugly defensive showings of late. That would be concerning, in my opinion. And then the offense, I don't know what happened to them against Binghamton, but couldn't make a shot. They lost 66-54. And if you look at them on their home floor, they failed to cover 3 of their last 4 on this home court. And most of those as home favorites. So they have been very shaky lately, laying points at home, UMass Lowell. So I like Albany here. I'm taking the points here with the Great Danes. Best number out there right now, plus 5.5, minus 102 FanDuel.
You got it. Locked and loaded. I mean, I'd be right with you and Troy had UMass not just shot 30.4 from the field and 16.1 from 3. There's enough on today's card where I don't need, but I would definitely be with you. They're obviously upset with the performance they just had, which just is not enough for everything to correlate, but everything else does, and I get it. So Troy with you. Spooner says UMass Lowell roster is 2 of the top 5 players in the conference, according to Ken Palm. Home court advantage doesn't mean much here. Should be a good game. Albany has better athletes. We have Bobano and
those
Troy.
deals where on this show, obviously everything's graded at one unit across the board. I do want to point out personally, this is a bit of a smaller position for me, Albany, compared to the NJIT and the over against Bryant. A little smaller than the Arlington bet. Just pointing that out.
Yeah, no, it's important to point out.
Yep.
All those things are important. We keep it one unit just for
it's just
cleanliness.
easier. I get it. Yeah.
Clean. But I can't join you because of how UMass shot in the last game. But other than that, everything else works. Let's roll on. 7 p.m. Eastern. We have the Longwood Lancers head to the Big South. 16-9, 5-5 in conference. At the High Point Panthers, 21-5, 9-2 in conference. High Point, North Carolina. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. We have this total 155.5 at a pick'em. It's not moved. Now it only came out and available to us at 8:18 this morning. When we get to the point spread here for this spot, we have High Point as 10.5 point favorites, minus 10.5 at minus 111. There's been a 1 cent move in the 4 hours or so that this has been available, just a 1 cent move. When we get to the cash flow, we've been getting a lot of information here. Can we get some more in this spot? Let's see. I apologize. I should have had this set up here. And here we go. We do have the information. 68% of the tickets and 63% of the cash on High Point. 91 and 91 on the over. Nice getting all this information. Excellent work, Kong. I'm glad to hear it, man. Got to stay healthy. It's the only way to stay healthy. Longwood comes in off its third straight loss, 71-69 home over Radford. At home to Radford on Saturday, 3.5-point favorites. High Point comes in off their sixth straight win, 104-100 at home over UNC Asheville on Saturday. Bodo, that 7-foot Cameroon native, 19 points and 21 boards in the victory. These teams met back on January 16th, and this is the only reason why I'm not on Longwood. They met on January 16th in an 82-80 victory at home for Longwood. That's 3.5-point dogs. So I know we have a 10.5. We have a double-digit dog coming to High Point, but it's a double-digit dog that beat High Point. So it's not like High Point's going to come in here lackadaisical, like the reasons why we're on NJIT. I couldn't follow it here with Longwood because of that first meeting between these two squads. So at this point, I am off here. Take it away, Bobano, Longwood, High Point.
Whereas I think what you could definitely factor that in because it's revenge spot for High Point. But you start to look at recent meetings, and as High Point had enough of an advantage in this matchup to be trusted to win by this kind of margin, I would say the answer is no. Longwood's been a tough out for them. They have matched up very well with High Point. Put it this way, Longwood, and I remember that first meeting because I took High Point and lost on January 16th. They got knocked out in shocking fashion, High Point, by Longwood in the Big South tournament last year. I think a lot of people thought High Point was winning that conference tournament. Longwood knocked them out. That January 16th meeting was High Point's first crack at Longwood since losing in the conference tournament to them. That was their spot to beat them, and they didn't. They couldn't. They just weren't better. Longwood was, again, a difficult matchup for them, and High Point lost. To me, I've seen now enough with these two teams to think this is too many points. And I do like the Lancers here, plus the points. Not to mention, did you just look at High Point's last game against a rival that they're battling with for top spot in the conference as far as regular season standings, UNC Asheville, 104-100 victory. It was a crazy game, back and forth, overtime. That's not an easy game to come back from. A mentally, physically taxing game like that went to overtime against a team you're battling with in Asheville, a conference rival, two of the better teams in this conference. So I think even though you said, yeah, it's a revenge spot for High Point, A, I don't know if they're good enough to beat Longwood in the matchup by double digits, and B, they're coming off this overtime marathon versus Asheville, which I think is a negative for High Point, going into this game, especially with the way Longwood plays. Exactly. Longwood is very good in the paint. It's been an issue with High Point repeatedly in these recent matchups. It's bothered them. Yeah, I think the points is the way to go. I am on Longwood here, plus the number here in this game. We'll see what the best number is. Let me just bring it up right now. Plus 11, minus 114. We'll take that here at Bet Rivers.
You are locked and loaded here. A great breakdown. Very, very interesting spot that I get and understand completely. Super True Story says Longwood aggressive, High Point don't like the physical play. BFV says Longwood first half plus 6 at minus 120. Let's roll. That is Bobano on Longwood plus 11 at minus 114. Troy Torrance says you want to put lipstick on a pig? You goddamn right I do. And I already have with NJIT. And here is
you know what? Over the total in that Longwood game as well.
Sure. They've
They've been an over machine on the road, Longwood, really. And the history in the two teams has trended over the total as well. What is it? 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2 in the last 8 meetings have gone over. Look at Longwood on the road. Charleston Southern game, 164. The Gardner-Webb game, 179. 151 with Radford total points, and Radford plays very slow. Winthrop, got into the 170s as far as total points. I mean, it's one over after another for Longwood on the road. So I'm adding the over here as well. Over 155, minus 110.
You're locked and loaded, my friend. Back to my lipstick pig little monologue. Don't need to add to it. Just know that I love it, and I'm on Mercyhurst. Now, again, you guys know me on around this 11 to 17. Really, it's 12 to 15, but I opened it up a little bit. I prefer first half in these situations than full game. My ROI is just higher. I've been studying it for long enough, and I'm just going to go with it. So the only possible thing then is for me to double up. because I'm going to always gravitate towards the first half, which I have done here. I'm on Mercyhurst first half. This is my second of two spots. NJIT first half plus 10, Mercyhurst first half plus 7 at minus 115. I could have got it 2 cents cheaper if I was liquid here on an offshore, but I sent it in at minus 115 instead. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. We have here, I thought I had it right here. Sorry about that. We have Mercyhurst plus 11.5 at minus 101. They opened up at plus 13. Now, it moved to 11.5 at 10:10 a.m. At that point, since that point, there's been a 6 cent move towards Central Connecticut here. From a total standpoint here, we have this sitting right now. We have this sitting right now at 132. I see 131.5 on the board. This is heavily juiced to the under. It opened up at 132.5. Oh, sorry. This is 132.5. My bad. 132.5 heavily minus 120 to the under. But this is, this offshore, which is known for less vig, has a lot of vig on these smaller schools. So this is a 30-cent spot for them with a ton of vig. Let's get to the cash flow then for this Mercyhurst spot. We have 48% of the tickets on Mercyhurst and 63% of the cash on them. Totals wise, 84% of tickets and 86% of cash on the over. We have Mercyhurst 7-5 in conference. Central Connecticut 8-2. Mercyhurst comes in off its 5th win in 6 games, 82-78 at home over Lemoyne on Saturday's 1.5 point favorites. This is a basketball team that's just getting better every single time we see them out on the floor. They lost 62-50 at home to Central Connecticut back on January 5th as 8.5 point dogs. We heard Bobano, and we all have watched Bobano succeed with this angle. It's an angle that I hit now as much as I can. Central Connecticut comes up in off its 6th straight win, 87-66 at home over Fairleigh Dickinson. Last Thursday's 9.5 point favorites. They smash and grab Fairleigh Dickinson. Now this Mercyhurst comes into New Britain to Dietrich Gymnasium. Are they going to be up for it? Because I know that Mercyhurst will be, who's playing their best basketball of the year. I took the 7 first half at minus 115. Bobano, take it away for us here. Mercyhurst, Central Connecticut.
Let me just see here. Let me see. Right. Yeah, I'm on the same side too. I'm on Mercyhurst. Look, it's not easy to go against Central Connecticut right now. Look, first, this has been a great point spread team. 16-5 ATS, Central Connecticut. They played great basketball. What I like about Connecticut is they defend. You look at the last 4 games, 5 of the last 6 games, they've held teams 64 points, 66 points or less. Been very impressive. They've covered 6 straight. Totally understand all of that. Mercyhurst coming on very strong themselves, is 6-2 straight up their last 8 games, 6-2 against the number. The losses were at LIU, who are a very good team this year. Rod Strickland, man, he's done a great job with Long Island. My goodness. But they were in that game. They were competitive. Chicago State, they lost by 7, but again, competitive. Other than that, though, they've been pretty solid. They went on the road. They beat Wagner at Fairleigh Dickinson, 5-point dog. They won that game outright. I think the betting market's just a little bit slow on Mercyhurst's improvement. Meanwhile, they can't be more red hot on Central Connecticut and the Blue Devils than they already have been. The 16-5 ATS power rating is apparently through the roof. So to me, it's just a spot where I think the odds makers have caught up to Central Connecticut, which is why they're laying this number. I'm not convinced they've caught up to Mercyhurst and the improvement that this team has made. So I think there is value at this number. I see this as a single-digit game, and I think Mercyhurst lately has shown the capability to play well enough to keep it within single digits. So I like Mercyhurst here. We'll take them plus 12.5, minus 112.
You got it. Mercyhurst plus 12.5, minus 112, which is great. So both of the spots that I've come in and already bet on the first half.
Beating the hell out of Mercyhurst on the road earlier this year. And now here's Mercyhurst. Now this is revenge spot and getting points. Now I prefer it even more when it was a close loss that you suffered at home. which Mercyhurst did. Central Connecticut blew them out at Mercyhurst. But this is a different Mercyhurst team now. They're playing a lot better. They're getting a good number. It's still a good bet, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm right with it. I got the 7, and the 7s are still available. So they're becoming a little more juiced at some spots, but 7s are still available despite the 11.5 or the 12.5, depending on where you bet it. Let's roll on. So that's the extent of the action that I've bet. So let's see what sort of additions come to fruition here. 7 p.m. Eastern, Hofstra Pride, 12-13, 4-8 in conference at William and Mary Tribe, 14-11, 8-4 in conference, Kaplan Arena in Williamsburg, Virginia. Let's get into the line history here. Williams and Mary open up at -1.5. They're now -2.5, a 1-point move towards the Tribe. When we get to the total for this spot, we have a 147. It's -112 to the under. This opened up at 145.5, so we've climbed a 1.5. Cash flow. We have no information on the spread, but we do on the money line. 25% of the tickets and 95% of the cash is on Hofstra. Now the spread's moving away from them, but the bigger bet's 4 on the over. So the over being back. Justin McKelvey on Hofstra +1.5. Rogue Energy on Hofstra. Troy Torrance on Hofstra. William Mary under. Hofstra comes in off its 3rd straight loss, 80-75 at home versus Stony Brook on Saturday's 12.5-point favorites. William and Mary comes in off their 3rd loss in 4 games, 74-64 at Delaware on Saturday's 1.5-point dogs. And William and Mary destroyed Hofstra, 74-56 back in Hempstead, New York, on January 2nd as 5.5-point dogs. They destroyed them. William and Mary shot 52.9 from the field and 57.1 from 3 in that road victory, which obviously gave me interest in Hofstra, but I did not pull the trigger. Shout out to Gifted Cartel in the house. Great to see you back in business, man, back where you belong. Take it away for us, Bobano. Hofstra Pride, William and Mary Tribe, an exciting one over here in the CAA.
Very interesting. William and Mary's kind of cooled off. 3 of their last 4 they've lost, and the shooting's kind of eroded. This is a team that plays fast, shoots a lot of threes, plays very exciting brand of basketball, and suddenly the threes aren't falling. Campbell, they got blown out, and they only scored 55 on the. Now, their bad road performances were on the road. We should point that out. At Campbell, at Drexel, at Delaware. 55, 66, 64. Couldn't make anything. You got to think positive shooting regression happens back home. William and Mary has had a very good shooting track record on their home floor, 10-0 at home. It's a tough side. I mean, William and Mary, these are good spots usually for a team like what the Pride are in here. Back-to-back road losses. You're coming back home. You've played great at home. This is where you're supposed to bounce back and play well. But on the flip side, Hofstra, got blown out. Revenge angle for them. They're not playing great either, though. They've lost 3 of 4. I actually lean to the William and Mary side in this game, but I do worry about how they've cooled off a little bit. And I like the spot. I don't like it enough to take it because of the fact that, again, we have seen this team really go through the doldrums here offensively. It's a lean to them. It's a lean to the over, but I ended up passing. I think it's a tricky spot, and I'm not sold necessarily on them just because they're back home. Suddenly they're going to feel it again at the offensive end, especially when Hofstra is a capable defensive team, and especially when Hofstra is coming in here in revenge mode after a pretty horrific home loss to this team earlier in the year.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Spooner. Not the same with Collier out. Yep, that's hurt. That's definitely hurt.
Yeah. I would like to fade William and Mary and join you guys on Hofstra. I just haven't. Like Bobano, I just didn't get there. I haven't quite gotten there yet.
The last time I backed William and Mary was their last win against Charleston. I love that spot. They were a slight home dog. I knew they'd show up. Charleston a little flighty, and they won that game 90-75. I haven't touched them since, and I'm not about to.
Let's roll on. Roll on. Next up for us, we stay here in the CAA, and we break down the beasts of the conference. Now, there's one beast ahead of them, but Charleston Cougars 19-6, 9-3 in conference at UNC Wilmington Seahawks, 20-5, 10-2 in conference. Trask Coliseum in Wilmington North Carolina. Shout out to JW, Robert McCormick, Chris Warren, Wager Detective, Gifted Cartel, squad ready to get to work. Let's roll. Line history wise, this total opened up at 149.5. That's where it is right now. 3-cent move to the over. Not much there. When we get to the point spread here with this spot, we have a Charleston. Jeez, I'm tripped out. It's funny. When I close my eyes, when I look away, I see Crosby spinning around and passing it to McKinnon. Like that hockey game last night was
fantastic.
That's
the
phenomenal. Speed of that game, the intensity of that game. Sorry, gotta stay focused here. Here we go. From a spread perspective, Wilmington -6.5, -108 was the opener. Now -6.5 plus 101. So a 9-cent move away from Wilmington, a 10-cent move towards the College of Charleston. Let's take a look at the cash flow. Now, we don't have spread information, but we do have money line information. That doesn't help us with a favorite of this size. So 90% of the tickets and 90% of cash are on the over. Charleston comes in off its second straight win, 88-83 at home over Elon on Saturday's 3.5-point favorites. UNC Wilmington comes in off its 8th straight win. That was 81-79 double overtime at Drexel on Saturday as 2.5-point favorites. And these teams met in a very tight, well-played 85-83 Wilmington win at Charleston back on January 23rd. Wilmington was 2.5-point road dogs in that one. Take it away, Bobano. Is there enough for you to find an angle against these well-matched, very good basketball teams, Cougars, Seahawks in Wilmington?
Yeah, it should be. It should be quite the good game here between these two teams. Obviously, we know very familiar with the coach of Charleston, Chris Mack, from his time with Xavier, of course. Before that, at Louisville as well. We'll see how Charleston fares here in this one. They're playing pretty well. On the road, I don't necessarily trust them nearly as much, though. Remember, they had the loss to Bill and Mary, 90-75 in their last game. I think the key for Charleston is we know there's a team that's going to get up and down the court. We know they've got good three-point shooting. They're a very solid offensive team. In a lot of games, they're going to hit 70s and 80s, but can they defend, consistently enough? And you look at the NCAAB win, they did. Elon, they didn't, but again, they outscored their defensive issues, winning that one 88-83. That's still where the issue lies to me with this Charleston team. Are they good enough defensively? This is probably one of those deals where it fits that angle I talked about, but I'm not on it. You would think I'm on Charleston plus the points here. They lost it at home to Wilmington, 85-83 just a few weeks ago. Now they're catching points in the rematch. Normally I'm on Charleston in this spot, but they've had a real tough time with Wilmington. If you look at since last year, Wilmington 3-0 against the spread, and the win against Charleston at home for them last year was a 9-point win. And I like this Wilmington team, and I think they're a better defensive team than Charleston. I think that is the difference right now between these two teams. There's going to be a good amount of pace in this game. Wilmington has certainly trended over the total. Charleston will look to push it a little bit. You've seen the last two meetings between these two teams have gotten into the 150s and 160s. The total is what I like in this game. I like over here with Charleston and Wilmington, and we'll take it at 150. Actually, sorry, there's actually a 149.5 out there at -118. We'll go with that. So over 149.5, -118 for Charleston and Wilmington.
You got it locked and loaded. Excuse me. To Spammington. Unfortunately, no, we couldn't break down each and every game on the card today. Just not enough time. But one thing I've done, and I apologize by repeating for people, but this is to make capping easier for everybody watching the show. We have the exact schedule on our video description. And if you take like pages or whatever it is, any kind of worksheet, all you need to do is copy and paste the entire description, not the entire description, but of all the games, put it onto a worksheet, and there you go. You put your notes underneath it. You rock with us as we go through. It's so important. It's for to give everybody watching the best ability for their worksheet. And anybody who's capped with me over the years, or if you're in San Antonio with me, knows that worksheet is God to me. In my 20 page worksheet, I mean, this is open all day long. I'm adding to it. I'm copying, pasting. I'm putting other people's notes. It's my Bible. So we do that. So it's on the video description every day. Every morning, you can just copy and paste it onto your worksheet and then work with us down. Let's roll on to the next spot on the board. 7 p.m. Eastern, Old Dominion Monarchs, 11-14, 7-5 in the Sun Belt. At the Georgia State Panthers, 10-15, 5-7 in the Sun Belt. GSU Convocation Center in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's get into the line history here. Georgia in the house. Shout out to Justin McKelvey, now in Pennsylvania, but born and raised in sweet Georgia. Let's get, I had this line history up. My bad. I didn't mean to take it off. Still with this COVID, not thinking as clearly as I'd like. Old Dominion right now opened up at +4. They're now +5. Had a 1-point move towards Georgia State. When we get to the total here in this one, we have, sorry about that. We have 150.5. It's -116 to the under. We've had 6 cents of movement towards the under. When we get to the cash flow, Rogue Energy liking Georgia State here. We have no information on anything but the total. The money line doesn't really help us because of the. We can get into the why it doesn't help us get the information when there's this big of a favorite. 77% of tickets, 77% cash on the over. Old Dominion comes in off its second loss in 3 games, 76-70 at Eastern Michigan on Saturdays, 1.5-point dogs. I like Eastern Michigan, and in my COVID craziness, as you guys know, the dreams go wild in COVID. I had a dream. I was at Eastern Michigan before a basketball game with my pops, which is so messed up. And I cashed with Eastern Michigan in their last game, that +3.5. What was it on Tuesday? I believe +4.5. They went to overtime, lost by 2. Georgia State comes in off their second straight win, defeating Buffalo on the road Saturday, 80-75 is 2.5-point favorites. Buffalo, that means nothing to me at all. This is their first meeting of the year. So these teams play again on February 22nd. Take it away for us here, Bobano. A lot of cappers in our chat looking and betting the Panthers here in Atlanta, Georgia. What's your plan?
Yeah, this one is because you got Old Dominion, who coming off that loss to Eastern Michigan as part of the Sun Belt MAC Challenge that they had on Saturday. That's why there were so many of those Sun Belt versus MAC games. It was the Sun Belt MAC Challenge they had last Saturday. They lost that game. They also lost to James Madison on the road by 14. They beat App State. I'm still wondering how they did that. 78-77 to that. But actually, they had done pretty well on the road in this dog roll until the last 2 games. So did they get back to that here against Georgia State? Georgia State's starting to play better. Road win at Marshall. Tough loss against App State, but come back home. They beat ULM. They beat Buffalo on the road as a small road favorite in that game. I've been taking a lot of overs lately with Georgia State, and I'm leaning that way here. I've been riding them over the total because they've starting to get their offense going. They do play above average as far as pace. Question is Old Dominion going to drag them down a little bit? Because when you look at Old Dominion, they're not always a fluent offensive team, and they will sometimes and they will try to slow things down a little bit. But I think in this particular situation, there still could be some points here. This is a smaller bet for me, so just be aware of that. But I'm going to make it official for the show, even though, like I said, everything for the show is equal amount. But just want to stress this is a smaller bet for me, but I am still going to make it official. And we'll take ODU, Georgia State over 149.5, -112. Again, Georgia State overs have been the way to go for the last few weeks. Been on a bunch of them. We're riding the streak.
You are locked in, my friend, and we roll on. We're no longer at this point getting information on spread, cash flow. Unfortunately, I'll keep looking, but we're not getting that information. Let's roll on. We head over to the Sun Belt. James Madison Dukes, 15-10, 8-4 in conference. At the Georgia Southern Eagles, 13-12, 5-7 in conference. Jack and Ruth Ann Hill Convocation Center, Statesboro, Georgia. Just talk Georgia State. Let's talk Georgia Southern. Line history-wise, this total's at 145 -114 to the over. Open up at 146. We've dropped 1 point. When you get to the point spread here for this spot, we have Georgia Southern right now at +4, which is where they opened. This has moved 4 cents towards the Dukes. 4 cents towards the Dukes. Again, no help on the spread. The dog being bet on the money line here. Again, it's questionable whether this is that relevant, but 15% of the tickets, 87% of cash on the Georgia Southern Eagles. 96% tickets, 96% cash on the over. James Madison had their 5-game winning streak snapped on Saturday in a 72-69 loss at Toledo. It's 1.5-point favorites. It was a great basketball game. Georgia Southern comes in off its second straight win, 83-57 at Western Michigan as 1.5-point dogs. Just stomped on the Broncos. This is their first meeting with James Madison this year. They play them again on February 22nd. I didn't have enough of an edge at, alone. Let's see if we have one together. Take it away, Bobano. Dukes, Eagles.
Yeah, this is one where it's a pass for me. James Madison coming off a loss. I'm not really all that enthused about betting against them after losing 72-69 to Toledo. After their last conference loss, which came against Apps. Actually, they lost App State twice, and they bounced back both times and won. I expect them to bounce back here. They've won, but each of the 2 meetings last year against Georgia Southern, 87-80, 80-74 in those 2 games. We'll see if that carries over here into this one. Georgia Southern, meanwhile, they've back-to-back wins for them, solid victories against Western Michigan and Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns. We'll see if they can carry that over here into this matchup versus James Madison. But you know what? Actually, now that I look at it, series history, wow. And Georgia Southern's a team that, we've seen their offense kind of improve a little bit lately. I think I can make a case for over in this game. I don't love the side. I'm definitely passing on the side, but I think I'll add the over here. 4 straight overs in the series as well. So let's go JMU, Georgia Southern over 144.5, -114.
Over 144.5 at -114 for Bobana. We're rolling on. Our pace is working. Let's roll back to the CAA for the Campbell Fighting Camels, who've been very good to us. Also, we have a $50 Camel Race coming up at the end of our show. At the Northeastern Huskies, 13-12, 5-7 in conference. Matthews Arena in Boston. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. By the way, JW moving on. James Madison in that last spot as well. Let's grab this Northeastern.
That's why I lean JW, just so you know. I do lean James Madison there. Yeah.
We have Northeastern opening up at -3. They're now -4. 1 point move towards Northeastern. From a total perspective here, and we have all the information on this game, thankfully. We have 141 as a total. It's a pick 'em. No movement. When we get to the cash flow, you have just 29% of the tickets and 31% of the cash on Northeastern. We watched Campbell running over teams for a while, and we think that's possibly come to an end. At least the market certainly does. 84% of tickets and 83% of cash is on the over. Troy Torrance is on Campbell +4.5. Says Road Dogs of 3 or more with better offensive and defensive efficiency metrics are 11-4 against the spread when the line is moving away from them. This is too many points. Wow. By the way, Building in the Streets is against us in the Bryant spot. Building in the Streets bits is on Bryant -16.5. Good luck, my friend. So let's get this very interesting comment copied and pasted from Troy Torrance here. Spooner says, should we ask ourselves why we can get the hottest team in the conference as a +4.5 dog? Campbell comes off its 7th straight win. It was a very underwhelming performance. 66-62 at home over North Carolina A&T on Monday's 12.5-point favorites. They were down 26-21 at the half. Had NCAA&T not gone 1 of 14 from 3, NCAA&T would have beaten the Campbell Fighting Camels. Northeastern comes in off its second loss in 3 games, 84-75 at home to Hampton on Saturday as 5.5-point favorites. And this is their lone meeting this year with Campbell. It's a very interesting note from Troy Torrance, because if it wasn't, I would be on the Northeastern Huskies. Take it away, Bobano, your plan of attack.
I got to be on Campbell, man. I've been riding Campbell, those Camels, for weeks now. Took them. I think we've taken them in all but one. I actually even took them against A&T, and I didn't love it. I said they're finally laying a big number here. I could see this being the spot that they don't play well and they escape with a win. And voila, that's exactly what happened. But now we got Campbell back in the role that they've been money in as an underdog. 4-0 ATS as a dog, their last 4. And all of them outright wins as dog. And there's good teams they beat. Elon, twice against Hofstra, William and Mary. Some very good basketball teams in this mix as far as I'm concerned. I think now we got Campbell back in their preferred point spread role. Northeastern is capable, but their home court record hasn't been anything to write home about. And look at the last 2 home games. They lost as favorites to Towson and Hampton. That was a real bad loss. Now, I know they're off a loss. You would expect them to play better and bounce back, but they're only 5-4 here at Matthews Arena this year. That's not a great home record for the Huskies. So, like I said, it does feel a little interesting that they're getting this number. I figured this would be closer to Pick'em. Like, I think Northeastern Pick'em maybe -1, but I didn't think they'd be laying this kind of a number, and I have to take Campbell at this number. I think it's just a bad number. Campbell 4.5 -110, plus 4.5.
Bobano moving on. Campbell plus 4.5 and -110. I was excited about that whole breakdown. Troy Torrance says the one thing that gives him concern, Troy is also with, and Troy pulled the trigger on Campbell, yes, plus 4.5, says the one thing that gives me concern, Campbell likes to score in the paint, and that's where Northeastern's defense is so strong. And Res Mob says going to get his beauty school license, put some lipstick on a pig. Hey, it works, man. It works in college basketball. Let's roll. 7 p.m. Eastern in the CAA. We've done a lot of talk here, and we stay in this conference. Delaware Blue Hens, we talked about off the top of the show, 12-13, 5-7 in conference. At the Towson Tigers, 16-9, 11-1 in conference. We're in Towson, Maryland. We have Delaware finally posting a W. It was a rough 5-game losing streak for the squad, beating William and Mary on Saturday, 74-64 at home. They did it as just 1.5-point favorites. They shot 46.6 from the field. That was probably their only good stat angle. They just, played good basketball, good enough to take care of business. Now they face the leading Towson Tigers, 11-1 in conference. We are in the midst of a 10-game winning streak, coming off that 73-67 victory at Monmouth last out. This Tigers team is just rolling. And they went to Delaware and took care of them. This just happened. They just beat Delaware 76-66 on January 30th, 14 days ago. They did that as 2.5-point favorites. They were down 4 at the break. They won the second half by 14. Let's get into the line history here for this Towson spot. This totals at 142.5. It's -111 to the over. We've had a 1 cent move to the over. That's it. On the point spread here, we have Towson -6 at -113. This has come down from 8. There's been a 2 cent move towards Delaware. There's been a 3 cent move if you look at the books that came out, the fastest, the earliest. A 2 cent move, 2-point move here on the book that opened this lineup, a sharp book that opened this lineup at 7 p.m. tonight. We don't have information on the spread, but we know that 91% of the tickets and 91% of cash is on the under. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Blue Hens, Tigers, Towson, Maryland.
Towson's a team that, for me, I need a damn good reason to bet against them. I think they're really good. Would not shock me if they represent CAA in the NCAA tournament this year, because I think unlike some of the other teams in this conference, they're just so good defensively. They can really shut you down. They can really make life difficult. They guard, every second and every possession. So that's what makes them a very good team. Delaware just hasn't shown me enough consistency. I mean, they had lost 5 in a row before beating William and Mary. A William and Mary team that, as we know, without Collier, they've taken a bit of a hit, and they've kind of regressed a little bit offensively. Towson's just been absolutely rolling. There's no question. Towson won at Delaware, 76-66 just recently. I know it's that angle, right? The home team is now an underdog in the rematch. I don't trust it, though, with Delaware. Delaware is one of those teams that you see them. The defensive ability is just not there half the time. It's just such a gap with these two teams as far as defensive ability is concerned. So it's difficult for me to step in front of this Towson team. Normally, this is a spot where, I'd be interested maybe in Delaware in a revenge spot, getting this amount of points on the road, but I don't like what I'm seeing from them. I'm not laying it with Towson either, but I respect Towson enough that I don't want to fade them. So I'm staying off this game. It's a pass.
Stay off spot, 2-point move towards Delaware, 3 in other spots. Jesse Schul in the house. Great to see you. Jesse says, William and Mary are Jekyll and Hyde home away splits. Never seen such dramatic differences. Let's roll on here. And we head to the Conference USA for our next spot, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The Kennesaw State Owls, 14-10, 6-5 in conference with Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, 17-7, 6-5 in conference. They're at Thomas Assembly Center in Ruston. We have Kennesaw State coming off a really tough home loss. Now, they played 4 straight home games, and they're back out on the road. We last saw them on the road back in January 25th, losing 73-71 at UTEP. They're coming off a 76-75 loss at home to Middle Tennessee. They were 2.5-point favorites, and they were taken out by Middle Tennessee. Now, they had a nice comeback to get back in the game. They were down 15 at the break, losing by 1. Also, these teams met in a very tight affair earlier this year, January 18th. It was a 78-76 Kennesaw State victory at home. They took care of business at home as 2.5-point dogs. So will La Tech get their revenge here in this one? La Tech has been rolling, bounced back from that ugly loss at Liberty. That was a poor spot for them. They'd been rolling otherwise. They bounced back with an 82-71 victory over Florida International. Now, Florida International is just 2-9 in conference, but it was still a bounce back performance. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have La Tech opening up as 6.5-point favorites, now 5.5-point favorites, really 5. This 5.5 juiced to -116. So basically, we've had a 1.5-point move towards the Owls. When we get to the total here for this one, again, this one popping off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. From a total standpoint, we have a 146.5. It's -112 to the under, a 2-cent move towards the under. And then cash flow wise, see if we get information, and we don't. All we know is 85% of tickets, 86% of cash is on the over. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Kennesaw State Owls, Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, and Ruston.
Yeah, this is a good one. Kennesaw State, the Owls played a little bit better of late with back-to-back home wins against FIU and Western Kentucky. They did lose at home to Middle Tennessee last time out, so they're looking to bounce back. But certainly they've played solid here the last month or so. Louisiana Tech's a really good team. One of the best teams, obviously. And another one of those teams. I talked about how Towson. Don't be shocked if they're representing the CAA in the NCAA tournament. Don't be shocked if Louisiana Tech is representing Conference USA in the NCAA tournament. They're very well-rounded. They're good at both ends of the basketball court. They can fill it up offensively. They can defend when they need to as well. They've won 4 of their last 5 games. They lost, believe it or not, to Kennesaw State 78-76 in the first meeting. So looking for a little bit of redemption this time around in the rematch. I think they have a chance to get it. It's a bit of strong home court, 10-1 Louisiana Tech on their home court. They've done a pretty good job covering the number. They only non-cover was against Sam Houston State. They won by 5 at home. That's about it. But they've been very good on this home court. They're playing with revenge. The number's reasonable here. I like the Bulldogs here, laying the points at home. We will take La Tech here in this one. And the best number out there, -5, -106.
Excuse me. Bobano on La Tech, -5 and -106 here. Let's roll on. We roll on to 8 p.m. Eastern action. We head over to the Sun Belt, Fun Belt. Marshall Thundering Herd, 15-10, 8-4 in conference. At the South Alabama Jaguars, 16-9, 8-4 in conference. We're in Mobile, Alabama at the Mitchell Center for this one. these teams have not played each other this year, so we don't have that to work with. We do know that Marshall is rolling. They did have that loss at home to Georgia State, which did fit the angle that Bobano's been talking about so often here on the show, that's worked so successfully, that I've been rocking with a lot as well, because, Marshall had beat one at Georgia State 92-79 and then came home and then lose to Georgia State 85-81. But they bounced back at home. Well, is it a bounce back? Coastal Carolina's weak, and they only beat them 67-62. And then they beat the Arkansas State Red Wolves, who are at the top of the ledger. That was the bounce back, 77-72 at home. And that was 8 days ago. So this team has had some time off. South Alabama coming off the 80-67 loss at Akron, 3 straight road games, and now they come back home here for this one. Let's take a look at the line history for this spot. We have this total opening up at 139. It's now at 137.5, and it's juiced to the under. So we have a legit move towards that under. On the point spread here for this 8 p.m. start, we have Marshall +4, -104. They open +5, so we had a 1-point move towards the Thundering Herd. And when we get to the cash flow for this one, no help on the spread, 79% tickets and 80% cash on the over. Take it away for us here, a little Sunbelt action. Thundering Herd at the Jaguars in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah, Marshall and South Alabama should be a fun game here with these two teams. Of course, with Marshall. Marshall's been one of these teams this year. They've got a good ATS record. And early in the year, it was bet them at home, don't trust them on the road. But suddenly, on the road, they've started to put it together. They've covered 4 straight away from home. 3-point loss at JMU, and then wins at Coastal, Georgia Southern, and Georgia State. So they've started to play better to go along with that pretty good home record that Marshall's had. South Alabama, they've been more up and down lately. We've seen from them. They lost at Akron 80-67 in the MAC Sun Belt Challenge, but their last 2 conference games, they did win them on the road. But you start to look at them here at home, other than beating a horrible Southern Miss team by margin, they lost, or they didn't cover against Troy. They lost outright as a massive double-digit favorite versus UL Monroe, which was not a very good performance at all from South Alabama in that game. I think when you look at the way Marshall, starting to trend on the road a little bit better, I could see them covering this number here a little bit with the this game and the way they've been playing a little bit better on the road of late. So, plus 4.5. I'm taking Marshall here, -105 is the best. Actually, you know what? There's a couple books that do have +5, -110. So let's go with that. +5, -110 here with Marshall and South Alabama. As far as the total is concerned here between these two teams, Marshall will play fast, but they have stayed under the last 2. Last year's meeting did fly over the total. I do think this total is just a little bit light. I think it can get up and over. So 136.5 -108 will go over.
And over 136.5 at -108. I'm interested in joining you with Marshall. Take a little longer look at that after the show. JW, though, does not think that we should be doing it. Says Marshall is terrible. Let's roll on and head over
Better
to
lately.
the Summit.
They just beat Arkansas State. I mean, it's a really
number
good
1 team in the conference.
Yeah.
No, I'm right. I'm with you. It's all good. I'm gonna study that a little more after the show, but that seems like an appealing spot here. Let's head over to the Summit League for our next spot. Omaha Mavericks 16-10, 10-1 in conference. At South Dakota State, Jackrabbits 16-9, 7-3 in the Summit. We're at First Bank and Trust Arena in Brookings, South Dakota. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. Sorry, I thought I had this all set up here. We have here we go. We have South Dakota State -9.5. -9.5. They opened up -109. They are now -104. So 5 cents of movement away from the Jackrabbits. Let's get into the total here. The total is right now sitting at at 154 -112 to the under. Opened up at 152, so we've climbed 2 points. God, it's very rare to see a team that's 10-1 in the Summit League be almost double-digit road dogs. I mean, I don't even know if we've seen that before.
Because this is not an ordinary home court here for the South Dakota State. I mean, let's be real. You don't just walk into the First Bank and Trust Arena and, expect to just do damage.
But it's still pretty wild that the team that's 2.5 games up on the opposition in conference, 10-1 in conference, would be close to double-digit dogs here. Omaha has won 3 straight, but, we talk about South Dakota State. They couldn't beat South Dakota on the, in South Dakota. They lose 91-87. That was their last road game, but they've won 3 straight since then. And South Dakota State coming off taking out the Tommies by 16 points, and the Tommies are 9-2 in conference. So we know that good teams come to First Bank and Trust Arena and lose by double digits, which is the expectation, I guess. Here, Andrew G says 9.5 spread is disrespectful. So cash flow wise, no information on the spread. 81-83 here on the over. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Mavericks, Jackrabbits, and Brookings.
Yeah, and revenge spot, as a wager detective says, for South Dakota State, because they lost at Omaha 87-80 last month. Now, I've seen this movie before. It looks like, wow, how do I not take the Mavericks here? Nebraska Omaha plus 9.5. The way they're playing, they're just terrific in this conference. They're 9-1 straight up their last 10 games. The only loss was at South Dakota. They played great basketball. This team, they already beat South Dakota State. I've seen this movie before, and you think, how can you not take this many points against South Dakota State? Well, South Dakota State eviscerates teams at home. This is not your average home court. They're very strong here. St. Thomas, the Tommies are really good. They're also one of the better teams here in the Summit. They just beat them down 102-86. They won by 19 on this floor against South Dakota. They won by 14 on this floor against Oral Roberts. They won by 36 against North Dakota on this floor, by 21 against Denver. They just rip teams, this Jackrabbits team at home, and the revenge motive too. I worry it's a double-digit win here, quite honestly, for South Dakota State with the revenge motive as well. But I like the over. That's my bet here in this game. Last year in regulation, it didn't even go to overtime, and these teams got into the 170s. It was 167 between these two teams, total points in the meeting in January in Omaha. I don't get why the total is just in the low 150s. Maybe the defense is a little bit better this time around, but both teams are going to get up and down, play with pace. I think 152 is just too low. Over 152, minus 110.
Over 152 at minus 110. Bobano is locked in. I'm very interested to see what happens with this line. You would imagine that the Mavericks will become public once that information is available. And if this line does not move a cent, I'm going to back the Jackrabbits both first half and full game. But I want to see that.
This is not, for me, it's not line movement. This is just, I've seen this with South Dakota State. They're a different monster at home.
But, I mean, it's not enough for you to move on it. So what's holding you back?
Because of Omaha's point spread record, which has been, and especially in the underdog role, they've been very, very good. But I'm with you. I would actually take South Dakota State before I take Omaha.
I'm going to wait and see. It'll be very clear if this stays at 9. I mean,
you just look at it, one game after another for Omaha as an underdog. Cash. I mean, that's why for me it's difficult to lay it against them.
Yeah, I can imagine anybody looking at the body of work this year from the Mavericks and think this is ridiculous. I'm bet this immediately, which is why if nothing changes in the marketplace, I'll be back in the Jackrabbits. So let's wait. We got time. We roll on, though. We head over to the Ohio Valley Conference. Let's talk about it. Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles, 13-12, 8-6 in conference. At Little Rock Trojans, 16-10, 10-5 in conference. Jack Stevens Center in Little Rock, Arkansas. We saw Tennessee Tech lose at home to a very good SIU Edwardsville squad. They bounced back, took out a very weak Eastern. Was it a bounce back? I mean, they beat Eastern Illinois 59-54 at home. They didn't look very good doing it, honestly. Now they head back out onto the road where they've been good. And they're going up against a Little Rock squad that's coming off a tough loss to the number 1 team in the conference at home on Tuesday. 57-45, Southeast Missouri State takes out Little Rock. I mean, it was a rock fight. I mean, it was 11-10 with 5 minutes left in the first half. I mean, this was just a ugly basketball game. And now Little Rock wanting to maybe take it out on Tennessee Tech, but they've already beaten Tennessee Tech. They went into Tennessee Tech. They beat them 77-71, 1.5 point favorites. They shot the ball very well. This was back on January 18th. Let's take a look at the line history here for this spot. This totals a 135.5, slightly juiced to the over. It did open up at 136, so we've dropped a half point. On the point spread here for this one, we have this right now with Arkansas Little Rock -7.5. They opened up at 8. We've had a half point move towards the Golden Eagles, and we don't have any information from the cash flow other than the total 96 on the over. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Tennessee Tech, Little Rock Trojans.
Yeah, Little Rock obviously at home here. They've it's a decent home court. It's been for them. We'll see if they can ride it to success here tonight. Tennessee Tech's been a very fascinating team to look at through conference play because horrible early on, especially in January. Then late January rolls around. They went outright as dogs 3 times in a row against UT Martin, Morehead State, and Southern Indiana. And then they get obliterated by Edwardsville, albeit Edwardsville's pretty good. Then they beat Eastern Illinois for the second time. It was one of those deals where the rematch angle didn't work. They beat Eastern Illinois for a second time, 59-54. We'll see if they can, but they've been a good point spread team of late. Little Rock coming off and I faded Little Rock against SEMO, Southeast Missouri State. I took SEMO +5. They won outright at Little Rock, 57-4. What a rock fight. They put the rock in Little Rock because it was a rock fight, that game against SEMO, 57-45, very low scoring. And when you start to look at Little Rock, though, this has been a pretty good offensive team. It looked like it was one of those days where it was just an uncharacteristically horrific shooting effort, and it really was. 38% from the field, 2 for 7, 29% from three-point range as well. I guess the one concern I would have here going into this game, too, and they didn't even make their free throws. They're a 70% free throw shooting team for the tournament, and for the season, I should say, and they shot 54% from the free throw line as well in that loss against SEMO, which was very uncharacteristic. I actually think it's a few too many points. I'm leaning to Tennessee Tech. I haven't moved on this yet because I am concerned. We're talking about Little Rock at home again after an all-time bad shooting night. So I don't know if I'm if I'm taking Tennessee Tech, but I do lean that way. As of now, I'm off the game.
I wish it was a different situation. Little Rock after that performance, I can't fade them. Unfortunately, I wish they were coming off 50 from the field and 50 from 3, feeling good about themselves. They're got to be an angry group. So I'm off that spot. Let's roll on, though. Head back to the Conference USA for our next spot, 9 p.m. Eastern. Liberty Flames, 19-5, 7-4 in conference. At the New Mexico State Aggies, 12-11, 5-5 in conference. At the Pan America Center here, we saw Liberty lose at Jacksonville State, 72-61. They came back at home and beat up a very good La Tech squad, 77-53. And then no-showed, as we see. When you play against a team at the bottom of the ledger, they no-showed, still did enough to win 64-61 at home over Sam Houston, who's just 1-10 in conference. Now they head to play the Aggies. Aggies coming off back-to-back losses. The one at Western Kentucky was a debacle. They losing 1-169 in that one. They came back at home and lose to UTEP. UTEP's not bad. They lose 66-63 in that one. So there's no real shame there. And this Liberty Flames squad beat New Mexico State at home 68-60. New Mexico State, both teams shot poorly from 3. It was a pretty even game statistically. Liberty pulled away late. That was back on January 18th. Liberty did cover a 6.5 point favorites. That opened at 7.5, closed at 6.5, and they did cover late. Let's pull up the line history here. We have Liberty opening up at -4.5. They're now -3.5. It got down to 3. There was a half point of buyback 45 minutes ago. So we've had a 1-point move towards New Mexico State at home. When we get to the cash flow here in this one, we have when we get to the total here for this spot, we have a 133.5 juice to the under. It's heavily juiced under, -118. I see 132.5 on the board. This opened up at 133. It's now 133.5 juice to the under. So it basically has not moved. And again, no help with the cash flow except for the total, 97 and 97 on the over. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Liberty Flames, New Mexico State Aggies.
I'm taking the Aggies here. I just flat out don't trust Liberty on the road. Now, look, New Mexico State has not been anywhere close to the team we've seen in the past. They're having some issues. I still think there's more talent on this team than at some point you got to prove it. And they've lost 5 of the last 6. They just got beaten at home by UTEP. But the one thing about this New Mexico State team is if they could just start making some shots, man, they're going to be able to turn some of these losses into wins. I mean, it's just been absolutely dreadful offensively, but they haven't defended all that terribly. They've given up 60s and 50s and that's why I think this is a winnable game for them. You get Liberty on the road. They're not as great a shooting team away from home. I don't think this is one of Richie McKay's better Liberty teams. He's been a great coach here, and it's been a very good program under his watch, but I don't think this is one of their better teams. I think New Mexico State positive shooting regression has to start coming their way. You can't just be shooting this horrifically in the 30s constantly, game in and game out, especially now back-to-back home games. I think there's reason to like New Mexico State for as rough as their recent results have been. It's a Liberty team that I think is a touchdown defensively, a notch or two down defensively, and they still have issues at times putting the ball in the hoop on the road. So I'm going to take New Mexico State here. I got 4 on it. I didn't get the 4.5. I got 4. 4s are gone, but I will still take them at +3.5, -102.
+3.5, -102. I'm interested in joining you. Justin McKelvey has the 3.5 in his pocket. Interested in joining you on that one. Let's roll on. We head over to the Big Sky Conference, 9 p.m. Eastern. Idaho State Bengals, 11-11, 6-5 in conference. And the Montana Grizzlies, 17-8, 10-2 in conference. We're at Dahlberg Arena in Missoula, Montana. The Grizzlies are just rolling. And to make this game even more interesting, Idaho State back on January 18th at home destroyed the Montana Grizzlies, 86-62. Now this was now Montana was up 44-36 at halftime, and were outscored in the second half by the Bengals 50-18. Idaho State shot 55.9 from the field, 43.8 from 3, dominated the boards, and Idaho State is 1.5 point favorites, won by 24. You have to think that leaves a sour taste in the Grizzlies' mouth. The Montana Grizzlies are beating everybody in their path. They took out Northern Colorado, who is very tough in this conference, 86-78 at Northern Colorado. They just beat Northern Arizona 83-80. They're just playing good basketball. Their last loss was at Idaho State. So do they exact revenge? Is this a Rebenga spot? We have here we go. The total is at 144.5 and -110 each way. This did get up to 145.5. We have had, open at 145. We've had a 1-point move towards the under. Then on the point spread here, we have, let me get there quickly. Sorry, we have Montana -5 and -108. This opened up 5.5. This got down to 4.5, but it's back at 5. So we have a half-point move towards Idaho State. And when we get to the cash flow, only information on the total, 92 and 92 on the over. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Bengals, Grizzlies in Missoula.
Yeah, I like Montana here. It's a revenge spot. They're playing their best ball of the season. Did we really have any doubts Montana would figure it out? I mean, they're always one of the better teams in the Big Sky. It didn't obviously work out. I think Montana here is the right way to go. And they've had some impressive results, too. If you look at a lot of these recent wins, to go to Northern Arizona and win, it's not easy, Flagstaff. And that's a solid Lumberjacks team. It's probably one of the better Lumberjacks teams they've had in years. And then to win at Northern Colorado, I mean, very impressive. I guess the only thing you fear is they sweep that road trip against two pretty solid Big Sky teams, and do you come back and don't play as well? But I think the fact they lost to Idaho State, which was the last loss this team suffered, that has them focused. That has them ready to go here tonight. They're just playing too well. And I like the Bengals, but I think wrong place, wrong time tonight. Montana just playing great ball. I think they keep it rolling. We'll take them here -4.5, -106.
You got it, Montana -4.5, -106. Very interested in joining you on that one. We only have 7 more minutes of Bobano.
We're doing pretty good, though. We've only got like 4 games. Yeah,
4 games left. We're doing great. Let's roll on. You knew I had to include the UC Riverside Highlanders in our action. You've had a wonderful work with them throughout the season. UC Riverside Highlanders at UC Davis Aggies. Highlanders 16-9, 9-4 in conference. Aggies 14-10, 8-5 in the Big West. We already heard from Mr. Belvedere. He's on these UC Davis Aggies at University Credit Union Center in Davis, California. Let's take a look at the line history and the cash flow and set this one up for Bobano. 2 tough teams here in the Big West. Riverside bounced back off that 20-point loss to UC San Diego. They're sitting tied with UC Irvine on top of the conference by beating UC Santa Barbara 69-64 in their last one. UC Davis, a couple losses. They lost at UC Riverside. So this was a 60-58 loss, a very, very tight game. They came back 2 days later and then lose to UC Irvine. That's a tough road trip. Then they beat Long Beach in overtime. Then on Saturday, they beat CS Fullerton 65-49. All these games have been on the road. They haven't played at home since January 23rd. And now they're back home against a team where they're looking for Rebenga, a team they're going to have to go through in the conference tournament. Let's take a look at the line history here for this spot. We have UC Riverside. God, sorry. Where the hell? How did I lose it? Had it right here. We have UC Riverside +1.5, -107. They opened up -1. So we've had the dog to favorite situation. They were -1 and -103, and they became +1.5, -108, 2 hours and 12 minutes later. So favorite to dog situation for Riverside. The Aggies have gone from dog to favorite. And when you get to the the total here for this spot, we have a 134.5 -114 to the under. We've had a half-point move towards the over. And then cash flow. Will we get any information here? Let's quickly see if we will. No, but we do on the money line, which is very helpful with the tight 1-point swing. 37% of the tickets and 98% of the cash on UC Riverside here. 80% of tickets, 78% cash on the over. Take it away, Bobano. Big West action in Davis, California.
I'll tell you what, it screams Davis in this spot to me, as much as I love my Riverside Highlanders, and they've padded my college basketball betting bankroll throughout the course of the season. They've been terrific. But I will say this, they have failed in 3 of the last 4 ATS. And Davis, of course, losing a tough one just barely a week and a half ago, 60-58 at Riverside. Revenge spot. Good home team. Aggies playing well, 5-2 their last 7 games, 6-0-1 against the spread their last 7 games. So they've been really good covering numbers. I'm a little not biased, but I've been good. Riverside's been good to me. I like this basketball team a lot, but even I'll admit I don't think this is the night to back them. It would be Davis or pass for me. I'm going to pass.
Should we do quick hits for the last 3 games, or can we try that? We'll do quick hits. So we have 3 more spots that we were going to try to get through, but it's fine. If we know if Bobano is moving, we can hit these on our own. And then we have Daby Cab joining us for Terps, Huskers, and Tigers, Bulls. So let's talk Northern Arizona Lumberjacks, Portland State Vikings. These are just quick hits. We'll cap them in a second. Are you moving on this one?
Yeah, Northern Arizona and Portland State. I better say good things about Portland State. My pal from the Davis Alexander, I've had him on my football show. He's gonna be mad because that was where he played his college football. Portland State has played a lot better this season. There's no question about that. As far as this season, they've it's been impressive because for a team that was kind of an afterthought in this conference, they played a little bit better than you would have expected. Now they've kind of come back down to earth here the last three of the last 4 games. So is Northern Arizona. So this is an interesting game because these are 2 teams that were, a month ago, like, whoa, these teams are right in the mix in the Big Sky, and they've kind of fallen back off the pack a little bit. I'd lean Portland State here. At home, strong home court. Northern Arizona coming off a gut-wrenching home loss to Montana. They really gave Montana a tough game, but fell short. I think it could be a little bit of a tougher spot for the Lumberjacks on the road. So I lean Portland State, but I did not move on this one.
Back to the Big West. Gauchos, the Ledger leading UC Irvine Anteaters, now 20-4 on the season. Brent Event Center, you move on this one?
Yeah, as far as this one is concerned, by the way, I actually did bet the over with the Portland State game. Forgot to mention that. Side pass, but I do like the over. Strong series history with overs with those 2 teams. So we'll add over 145.5, minus 110 for Northern Arizona and Portland State. As far as the Gauchos and Irvine here, you look at this matchup. The Gauchos, when they're getting this number of points, we've seen them be a little bit feisty at times. I don't know, though, if it's a great matchup for them, though, necessarily against UC Irvine. And you got Irvine coming off a blowout loss to the very good UC San Diego Tritons in their last game at home. A bit of a bounce back spot here for them. They've owned this series, by the way. They've won by double digits 3 straight times, the Anteaters of Irvine over Santa Barbara. So this is one where I lean to lay in the points with Irvine, but I'm going to stay off.
San Francisco Dons, Gonzaga Bulldogs. Big one in Spokane. You moving on that?
This is a big one indeed. You look at Gonzaga, and obviously last game against Pacific, they won 78-61. They bounced back against Loyola Marymount. They won that game by 20. So they bounced back from the tough loss at St. Mary's, as you figured they would. But again, with Gonzaga, it's a question of value. This is a team that has covered just 2 point spreads in their last 9 games. They've really consistently been an overvalued commodity. Now, these 2 teams, it's been really lopsided, in favor of Gonzaga. The last 2 meetings, Gonzaga won in the conference tournament of the WCC last year by 12, and then they pounded San Francisco by 18 in San Fran. But the game here at the Kennel, McCarthy Athletic Center in Spokane last year, 77-72 Gonzaga, and San Francisco was right there in that game. I think it's just a few too, and I like the way this Dons team is starting to play. You look at their recent games, they've won 4 straight. One of them was that great home win against St. Mary's. I was very impressed. I didn't love that spot at all for them at Loyola Marymount. And the fact they went on the road, they avoided the letdown after the big win against St. Mary's, and they're starting to play some really good defense finally, San Francisco. And to be honest, Gonzaga defense still comes and goes at times for them. So I am going to move on the Dons here, in a spot where, again, at Gonzaga last year, they kept it a single-digit margin. I'll take a shot here with the Dons here in their nice current form, plus 14.5, minus 115.
Bobano moving on the Dons, plus 14.5 at, what was the juice there?
Minus 115.
Minus 115. We'll go over all these games again quickly here before.
One thing I want to do, too, because I know you're going to talk about this game with Cabby.
Yeah.
The one of the game, I have nothing on the Maryland game that you're going to talk about with him.
Okay.
But Memphis and USF, you know what we're doing here. We're taking South Florida plus the points. We're fading Memphis every time they're significant favorites, and it's just been an outstanding approach. They're plus 7.5, minus 110 at USF. I mean, they're just not trustworthy. And then you get them on the road, like they're going to be for this game tonight, and I trust them even less, as far as, this is a team that lost at Temple. Just recently on the road. Temple that lost to Tulsa last night, one of the worst teams in the conference. So Memphis is chalk, not good. They're 2-8 ATS overall their last 10 games. Now, South Florida is not the same team, and I think the whole Amir Abdur-Rahim tragic passing of the coach has really affected this team. They haven't played anywhere close to that level that we saw last year throughout much of the season, and they're struggling mightily, but they still do have a good 9-3 home record. They've been an atrocity on the road, 1-7. But South Florida at home does have a 9-3 straight up record. Most of the time at home, they've been competitive. They lost by 5 against Wichita in their last home game. Just don't have faith in Memphis, laying points, especially on the road where they have just not been great in that role for the most part. So USF plus 7.5, minus 110. I'm also going to take over in this game. There should be points. Both teams will play fast. So I'm going to tack on over 151.5, minus 115 as well.
You are locked and loaded. I will review all of Bobano's action here once we're done college basketball, and I will review it again also at the end of our show. Incredible work, Bobano, as always. Please support our guy Bobano in all of his shows. Bobano is the star of the Ice Guys, the star of the OG NBA show, as well as Hitting the Books YouTube channel, and support him on X at Bobano Bets. Bobano, thank you so much for your time. Any last words for the Cappers supporting the show?
No, let's just have a great Thursday, whether it's college basketball, the few NBA games left before the break, or the Four Nations. Good luck. Enjoy the action tonight. Cash some tickets. You too, Jimmy, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you, my friend. There he is, Ian Cameron. We're going to touch on these 3 games and then bring on Daby Cab for best bet segment for him. So let's roll back to that Northern Arizona Lumberjacks 14-11, 5-7 in the Big Sky. The Portland State Vikings 14-10, 6-5 in the Big Sky. Viking Pavilion in Portland, Oregon. It's an interesting spot here as these teams did meet. It was a Portland State Vikings road victory over Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. It was a really impressive performance by Portland State in that one. They're 3.5-point road dogs. They were successful from the perimeter, 46.7% from 3, but more impressively, and what you need to do on the road is don't turn the ball over. And they only turned the ball over 4 times in that Vikings victory. So will Northern Arizona have something for some Rebenga for Portland State? These Lumberjacks are coming off their 3rd loss in 4 games, 83-80 at home to Montana. They had beaten Montana State. We know Montana is a tougher team to attack. They lose 83-80, and they lose as 1.5-point home dogs. It was a very, very tight game throughout. I mean, it was very, very close and very tight. But 3 of 4 losses for the Lumberjacks here. Let's take a look at Portland State over the last little bit. Portland State now at home also has lost 3 of 4. All 4 of those games that they've been losing have been on the road. Now they come back home. So somewhere they haven't been since January 25th. Let's take a look at that line history here for this Northern Arizona spot. See if we get any cash flow information, and then roll into our next spot on the board. This totals at 148.5, minus 113 to the under. It opened up at 146. This actually now it got up to 148.5. Now it's at 147.5. So we have a 1.5-point move on the over. And when we get to the point spread here for this one, we have Northern Arizona a plus 5.5 at minus 106. I find that appealing that North Arizona can stay in this basketball game. And are we going to get any cash flow information? Likely not. Let's just quickly see if we get any information from them. No, nothing on the spread. I find Northern Arizona appealing at this point. Again, as soon as the show's over, I'm going to go through all these college basketball games once more, and we'll have the cash flow information on almost all of these games. Maybe not Big Sky action, but I'm interested in Northern Arizona at this point to deliver a little bit of Rebenga. Let's move on to, and we know that Bobano's on the over 145.5 in that one. Rogue Energy with his action. Let me copy and paste this. Thank you, Rogue. South Dakota State minus 9.5, Jacksonville State money line, UC Irvine, and the under 137.5 in SIU Edwardsville, UT Martin. That is all copied and pasted. Thank you for sharing that with us, Rogue. Then the next spot on the board for us, 11 p.m. Eastern, UC Santa Barbara Gauchos, 16-8, 8-5 in the Big West. UC Irvine Anteaters, 20-4, 10-2 in the Big West. We're in Brent Event Center in Irvine, California for this one. Get this all set up here with the line history. Let's see. That's a mighty, mighty record that the Anteaters have, sitting here at -9 right now, and that's juiced. I see 8.5s on the board. This looks like it's going to 9.5 here shortly. We've already had a half-point move towards the Anteaters. Let's get to the cash flow on this spot as well. From a cash flow perspective, we have this sitting at 142 minus 119 to the under. This opened up at 139.5. So this is skyrocketed up. When it first got to 142, it was at 12:10 p.m. It looked like, we're going to move to 142.5. There's been a 10-cent move to the under since it got to 142, but still a 2.5 point move to the over. Expecting no cash flow information here. Let's see if they surprise us. No, still no cash flow information. We do know 84% tickets and 84% cash is on the over, but no help with the spread. And the Gauchos have won 3 straight. And they're playing good ball. UC Irvine got to be an angry group. After that home loss to the Tritons. And you got to think that they're going to want to take it out on the Gauchos. I can understand why Rogue is on UC Irvine. Getting the 8.5 was excellent work. Does feel like a smash and grab spot for them, doesn't it? Now, we don't have a prior game against Santa Barbara. They're going to close the season against UC Santa Barbara. But why wouldn't UC Irvine, with great anger, smash and grab here after a 20-point loss to the mighty Tritons? Interesting. UC Irvine, very appealing to me. Probably a spot that you want to bet sooner rather than later as this line's moving in their direction. Let's talk about this last spot on the board before we welcome Daby Cab to the show. And that's that big San Francisco Dons, 20-6, 10-3 in conference, at Gonzaga Bulldogs, 18-7, 9-3 in conference. Sorry, I started talking too much and the COVID starts getting to me. McCarthy Athletic Center in Spokane, Washington. Total's 152. It's juiced to the over. 2-point move from 154 down to 152. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep talking as much as I am right now. I should probably bring Daby Cab in right now. From a point spread scenario here. God damn, it's fucking COVID. Everything was fine because Bobano talks quite a bit. But, when I don't know if you saw me yesterday, but I was like, doing the hand squeeze so that I wouldn't cough. And it reminded me of that Office Space scene where the fucking guy gets, what's his name? Livingston. What am I talking about? Let me just focus on the basketball and stop fucking waxing poetic on some bullshit. Gonzaga minus 14 at minus 110. Opening up at 14.5, now 14. So we've had a half-point move towards the Dons. This is one of those lines that comes out and you think, what in the world could the Dons be this big of a dog for? Thank you, The Juice. I still scream that about Lundberg every time we see Lundberg on the ice. Lomberg, I think is how you spell it in the NHL. But yeah, it's a great film. 54% of the tickets and 89% of the cash on Gonzaga. This is one of those lines that make me want the big favorite. We talk about the traps that we see set all the time. I mean, who in their right mind would look at a 20-6 team that's 10-3 in the conference going up against a team with the worst record overall and in conference and be 14.5-point dogs? I mean, it just seems like it's a spot where the book is just like putting a little bit of cheese in front of a fucking mouse and seeing if the mouse is going to bite that fucking cheese. And so at this point, with a number like this, there's zero chance I'm going to be on the spot that appeals to everybody just from the look, and that's the Dons. I just know the books are trying to stab us in the throat, and this, doesn't appeal to me. Dons on a 4-game winning streak. We watch them take out, St. Mary's, who's at the top of the ledger, give St. Mary's their only loss, 7 days ago, and now they're 14-point underdogs against the underwhelming Gonzaga squad. I mean, it's just nonsense here. So now, look, and I respect Bobano trusting his X's and O's and saying, look, this number doesn't make sense. I'm going to bet it. For me, I think the books are going to stab you in the throat, watch you bleed out, and laugh. So I'm interested in the Zags. I would like to see the cash flow come in, which we don't have yet. But this is one of those spots we've talked about. Now, in these spots that we've talked about, we just saw it in the Cincinnati game on Tuesday. There's been spots where why would the favorite be this big of a favorite? They're never double digits. So, and Bailey, saying San Fran is free, which is I would expect the public to be thinking here, because we just watched them beat the number one team in the conference. Now you're getting 14.5 points. So there's a 0% chance I'll be joining Bailey on San Francisco and Bobano on San Francisco. The question is, do I really think the books are going to stab you guys in the neck? I'll have to think about that one. All right, let's bring on our next guest here. We have the two big games to talk about. Just the man for the job. He is the star of Medicaid Mondays and the Starting Five. Please welcome our friend, Daby Cab, to the show. Daby, how are you?
Any day you're pulling grams out of turkey bag, it's a good day, and that's every day. So ready to talk about these basketball games and make some money, Jimmy. Hey, shout out to everybody in the chat. I heard you, dealing with the sickness, so you don't got the extra voice. So let me go ahead and do it for a second, man. Shout out to our guy, Rez Mob, Wager Detective, rolling in there. Jermaine, good to see you. Bailey, man, everybody in here. Axon Jackson's in the chat. Rick J, The Juice, Andrew G, Rogue Energy, man. Good to see you guys today. Let's make some money, Jimmy. Let's get paid.
Let's roll. So Bailey saying -14 Gonzaga against anybody is a pipe dream. Honestly, Bailey, maybe you've been in the game for a long, long time, but I'm 45, and when they put out a number like that, they know everybody's going to bet it. Do you think you read the numbers of what FanDuel and what DraftKings and what these books are doing? You think they're complete idiots? All right, let's roll, Daby, my friend. Let's roll. We got two big ones to talk about. Look forward to hearing what everybody in the chat thinks. 8:30 p.m. Eastern, number 25 ranked Maryland Terps, 18-6, 8-5 in the Big Ten at the Nebraska Cornhuskers, 16-8, 6-7 in the Big Ten. We're at Pinnacle Bank Arena in Lincoln, Nebraska for this one. We watched Maryland bounce back after losing at Ohio State 73-70, taking out Rutgers 90-81. Terps have been playing good basketball. We already heard from our guy, Troy Torrance. He was trying to find a way to get on the Terps, and he just couldn't find that way. We've also watched these two teams play against each other on Sunday, January 19th. The Terps took care of business at home, but they only won 69-66 as 9.5-point favorites. Nebraska's come quite a long way since that game. They're a better team they're a better team than what we thought they were early in the year, I guess. They look stronger here in the Big Ten. Let's take a look at the line history for this one. We have Nebraska -1 at -114. They opened up at -1.5, so with a half-point move towards the Terps. When we get to the total in this one, we have this sitting right now. We're going to get all the cash flow information, thankfully. 146.5. This opening up at 147.5, dropped a point to 146.5. We have the Juice saying Huskers at home. I don't want to fade Bryce right now. Bailey saying, what's the handle on the Zags? We talked about it, Bailey, already, but 46% of the tickets are on the San Francisco Dons and just 11% of the cash. The bigger bets are coming in on Gonzaga. And obviously, we just talked about why we think that is. But part of the fun is not agreeing, Bailey, and I mean no offense. And we just heard Bobano, our expert, joining you on it. So by no means am I trying to talk you off of it. Nobody talks friends off of double-digit dogs, especially double-digit dogs with much better records than their opponent. Maryland's 45% of the tickets and 62% of the cash on the spread is on the Terps. 49% of the tickets and 69% of the cash on the money line is on the Terps. And here, interestingly enough, 62% of the tickets and 59% of the cash is on the under. Take it away for us here, Daby Cab, Terps Huskers in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Look, I can understand how somebody could make a case for Nebraska. Shout out to our guy Stacks in the chat. I know he's on Nebraska. I get it. I mean, not only have they won their last 4 games, they've covered their last 4 games, right? So that they're not just winning; they're making money for you if you're betting on them, which that's really all that matters to us. And they've looked good, coming into form these last 4 games. I'm just not sold yet. I mean, I know I probably should be, and they're coming back. They were at home against Ohio State, but they're here at home again. I'm just not sold on this Nebraska team, right? I can't get out of my mind what I saw earlier in this season that you alluded to when you started talking about it. Losing to Rutgers, losing to some of these, lesser teams in the conference. I think Maryland is a very good basketball team. I've faded Maryland a couple times in the right opportunity this season, and I've been right. I don't think this is it. I just think they're the better team. I mean, you said it. They only won by 3. They barely won at home. Nebraska's covered the last 4 games. They've won the last 4 games. They're at home here. Now they're the favorite. I get it. It all makes the case for Nebraska. But I think they were a 9.5-point favorite in that first game for a reason. And I think you're giving me plus points with Maryland here. I can't pass it up. So I took the Terps in the first half. So I'm on Maryland first half, and depending on what happens, I'll be readjusting at halftime. If they don't cover that and they're down by just a little bit, I'll take Maryland on the money line at halftime. And for anybody wondering, a lot of the times with my first half bets, I like to watch the games. I like to gamble all night long. So that's sometimes when I bet first half, it's just because I can add more money to my spot if I want to at halftime.
No, I get it. It's something Pete talks about a lot as well. Maryland first half. What did you get on Maryland first half?
Let me pull up my exact numbers for you real quick.
While you're
plus 1 minus 105.
Plus 1 minus 105. Morgan Spooner says Maryland money line is my play today. It's way too easy to get to Nebraska, home team in the Big Ten. Comparing the recent matchup with Ohio State, love Maryland here. Willard runs Pitino's defense. Then we have our guy BJ. Best bet is Nebraska money line. Bailey saying Maryland, one of the best first half teams in the country. Action Jackson on the Terps. Lex Steele on Nebraska money line and the over.
Nebraska did everything they possibly could right in that first game, and Maryland, did things like getting out rebounded and things like that in situations that's not going to happen again. There was a lot of luck to get Nebraska within those 3 points.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Daby. A fascinating game. Cappers on either side. A lot of contention in this one. Troy Torrance says home favorites of 3 or less have worse offensive and defensive efficiency metrics are 70% against the spread this season. Jesus. Home favorites of 3 or less that have worse offensive and defensive efficiency metrics are 70% against the spread this season. People look at this line and thinks Terps is easy. Wow.
I would think more people are interested in Nebraska at home, especially after the 4 teams that they've just beat. But, everybody looks at it different.
Fascinating spot. I'm going to need more time on it. But Nebraska money line for BJ. Troy on Nebraska. Daby Cab on Maryland first half. Let's roll into the next big one for our guy, Dabra. Good Dabra. 9 p.m. Eastern. We have the number 14th ranked Memphis Tigers, 20-4, 10-1 in the American. South Florida Bulls, 12-12, 5-6 in the American. Tampa, Florida, here for this one. Memphis coming off the 90-82 home victory over Temple. They've been going up against the weak teams in the conference and just getting by them in underwhelming fashion. Took out Tulsa by 12 at home. Tulsa's won 4 games in the conference this year. They took out Rice by 3 at Rice. Rice has won 3 games in the conference this year. So their last 3 games have been against the Minnows in the American. Then we have South Florida Bulls. We heard Bobano talk about, still struggling after losing their coach in the shocking fashion. Lost 2 of their last 3, coming off a 75-70 home loss to Wichita State. 75-70 is when we just saw them last. That was 1.5 point favorites, 17.6% from 3. And then, of course, we ask, have these teams met already? And no, they have not. They've not played yet this year. So they closed the season on March 7th with a game against each other. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We'll start with the total. Again, this one is popping off at 9 p.m. Eastern. We have a total of 153.5 juice to the under. Opened up at 152. We have a 1.5 move towards the over. And then when we get to the point spread here for this spot, we've already heard from Bobano on USF plus 7.5. He's also on the over 151.5. On the spread right now, we have South Florida plus 7 at minus 109. They opened up at 7.5, so we have a 0.5 point move towards them. And when we get to the cash flow for this one, we've no help on the spread, which is shocking. There's over 4,000 tickets, and you think we get something. 96% tickets, 96% cash on the over. The juice says, give me Penny's squad. Let's hear what Daby Cab says. Tigers, Bulls in Tampa.
I made a lot of money on Memphis early in the season. Penny stacked their schedule, and it was done on purpose because the conference is weak. You're touching on how they're barely getting by Rice and some of these schools. That should be expected. I've heard Bobano talk on it, and he's right on, right? These conference games fade Memphis because they're just going to win. They're not going to cover the spread. They've been doing it all conference. I get it. Early in the season, though, I watched Memphis very close. I think they're a very good basketball team. When they step up in competition or when they play the upper echelons in college basketball, they can compete. This is a team that once we get to tournament time, I'm going to be back on. And I've been staying off of them. I probably should have been fading them. But today I'm going back to Memphis here in the first half because I think they get a lead and then they cruise. I really think that's what happens here. I think it's what they've been doing. So I took Memphis first half. I got minus 3.5. I know there's question on whether or not Hunter comes in or not. But if he doesn't come in, I think Rogers and Jourdain are both going to, relish the opportunity to get to play. I think that's exactly what Memphis needs to cover a spread against a team like USF is one of their better players being down. Okay. Because when everybody's on the court, they know what's going to happen. So having Hunter off the court, as weird as this sounds for this situation, I'm completely fine with it. If not, happy if it happens. Okay. So right now it's undecided if he's going to play or not. I think they're leaning towards no. I'm cool with that. I got Memphis in the first half. I think they come out early, take care of business, and then let the pedal off the gas, so to speak.
What was the juice you got on the 3.5?
Minus 115.
Minus 115 here. I completely agree with the accountability that immediately happens when a star player is out. It's a fishy line. I mean, I can imagine getting Memphis first half minus 3.5 it seems very appealing. Also,
Memphis hasn't covered, Jimmy. In the last 10 games, I think they've covered twice. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they haven't been covering spreads in conference at all. So,
yeah, no, I hear you. We went over the last 3 games that have all been ugly against weaklings here, but the accountability factor with the star player injured does make sense. Rogue Energy saying Memphis sloppy with the basketball, which leads to turnovers. Chris Warren has moved on USF plus 7. Action Jackson also on USF here. So you're in business, man. And Bailey believes Memphis is free here. Says Memphis is free. Great buy low spot on them. And J-Dub says, true, this is a Memphis revenge spot here. Let's take a look at that. I thought, didn't I?
Not from this year, maybe from last year.
Oh, yeah, because I said, they haven't played this year. It's a different Bulls team without their coach. But Daby Cab on Memphis first half, -3.5, -115. Bobano on USF +7.5 in the over 151.5. Daby Cab on Maryland first half +1 at -105. Excellent work, Daby Cab. Tell us a little bit about what's going on Saturday here on Pub Sports Radio with our big starting five show.
Oh, man. You guys have been seeing what our guy Wine Time's been doing, man. Shout out to him, giving out the big plus money winners. He's doing that same thing on the starting five on Saturdays. Dutch breaking down the NBA. Stacks rolling through, giving out his best bets. Stacks killed it last weekend also. It's a best bet show, guys. We got 5 top cappers that are going to come through, give you action in college basketball, NBA. No bullshit. We get straight to it so you can get paid, and then we can go watch basketball for the rest of the day. That's kind of what it is, man. It's a lot of fun, too. I have a lot of fun doing it with you guys in the chat. So shout out to all you guys in the chat, man. I love capping with y'all.
I love it, Daby Cab. Thank you so much for sharing your action with us. Crush it this weekend and stay in touch, my friend. And please support Daby Cab. Medicate Mondays as well. Tell us, everybody, about the day you guys had on Monday.
We killed it on Monday. And if you rode with the wake up and get money play, Jordan Clarkson over 2.5 threes. I went back to it, Jimmy, because he's been cashing. He has now cashed it 10 out of his last 11 games. And they're still giving plus money at over 2.5 threes. So you're damn right I bet it again today. So I'll leave you guys with one other bet. Jordan Clarkson over 2.5 threes at plus 108. Thanks again, Jimmy. Get better, man. I know it sucks being sick. Love you guys. Later.
There he is, Daby Cab. Thank you. I feel like I've broken through the COVID. It's still in my lungs, but I think I've broken through it. Excellent work here. Jordan Clarkson, is he the toughest, softest looking motherfucker on the planet? The guy wants to fight everybody, and he looks like I could take him out. Great work from Daby Cab. Let's talk NBA now. Let's talk NBA. We have just the man for the job, and this is it for us, man. We better milk this shit, because I tell you what I won't be watching on Saturday or on Sunday is all-star format where no time clock and they play up to 40, and I got to cheer for Team Kenny. I will cut myself before I watch that shit. So this is our last chance to get paid here in NBA. We have the All-Star break coming. We have all these teams, every one of them on the second half of a back-to-back. It is tricky here when we're expecting. On Tuesday, I swept the board. I was certain that certain teams, those just being the Knicks after getting destroyed by the Celtics and the Grizzlies, after I forget right now who they lost to, but I was certain that they were going to bounce back. Last night, I was very wrong about the Pacers bouncing back. I mean, I was able to get in on them live, but even that was a bit of a sweat that had led to overtime. So it's tricky. Who actually cares here with the last game before the All-Star break? It's pretty tricky to decipher, and I was so wrong about the Pacers. Still 5-6 day. Everything's still going fine here. But let's bring on the star of Thursdays here on Betting with the Bag. Please welcome from Los Angeles, California. It's Derl, baby. Darryl Rice in the house. Derl, what's good? We got you on mute, I think, my man, because I can't hear the sweet sounds of
There we
Daryl's
go.
vocal.
There we go. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I was on mute. What is going on, man? Yeah, it's happy Thursday to you. Happy Thursday. It's really gloomy out here, a lot of rain. And it's a perfect day to be inside and cap basketball. Perfect day.
Oh,
So
yeah, same
I'm
here.
happy to
We have
do
a
that,
snow
man.
day. We have a
Oh,
snow day
yeah?
here, which we
Yeah.
never get in Toronto. We're so used to all the snow, so much snow. We got a snow day up here. This is all basketball all day and night. I cannot wait.
Yeah, man. I'm happy to be talking ball, man. And it's just a great day. You know what I say? I gotta go back to saying that just to get me amped up. And that any day on this side of the grass is
It's a great day. And I
it's a
tell
great
you
day,
what,
brother.
it's going to be even better when we are sitting beside each other at the Southtown 101
Yeah,
watching these games
absolutely.
in person, my man. You are
Yeah.
absolutely beloved by our community, Derl. And Derl rocked with us last year at Pubapalooza. Can't wait to have him here again this year. Derl, let's get right to work. We have
Yeah.
5 spots here on the board. Let's attack. Little Domo in the house. He's going to be rocking with us. His Pops Chill Will going to be there too. Good God, there's going to be so many great new friends that we're going to be rocking with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very, very excited. let's get to work here. 8 p.m. Eastern, the Golden State Warriors 27 and 27, 12 and 14 on the road. The Houston Rockets 34 and 20, 17 and 8 at home. Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. It took a while for the Rockets last night over KD, Royce O'Neal, and I don't know who else. It took a while for the Rockets to take control of that game. We know that Eason and Vernon Adams. We know that Eason and Steven Adams are out of the lineup here for today's game. But we have the shoot-arounds. Now it's second half back-to-back, so the shoot-arounds don't really happen on a lot of these. But let's see if we get any information here. So we know Eason out, Adams out. We knew Smith and Van Fleet are going to be out. Zeller is a game-time decision for the Warriors. We know that Kuminga is out, so not a lot to learn there. Let's go to the line history here. Houston Rockets are sitting at -6 and -102. They opened up at -7.5. We had a 1.5 point move towards the Golden State Warriors. I expected this move towards the Warriors, but I didn't want to sit here and say, "Oh, look, I beat the line with the Warriors." That game last night, that took a lot of energy out of them against the Mavericks overtime spot. So I have not moved. This total's gone from 216.5 to 218.5. Let's get to the cash flow for this spot here from a cash flow perspective, and we're going to get that information. 76% of tickets and 80% of the cash on the Warriors. 86% of the tickets, 87% cash on the over. Both teams are 2-3 over their past 5. Rockets 17-8 at home. Warriors just 12-14 on the road. Now they got Jimmy Butler with something to prove. We've seen what happens when he's got something to prove. Warriors 2-3 over the past 5. Fourth fastest pace in the league. 102.30 possessions a game. Not shooting the ball very well. Just 44.6 from the field and 32.8 from 3. Houston also not shooting the ball very well. Shooting the ball worse than the Warriors. Playing at a much slower pace. Third slowest in the NBA. Over the past 5 games, 95.6 possessions a game, 42.7 from the field, and 31.6% from 3. Every team we talk about is going to be on the second half of a back-to-back. Warriors coming off a 111-107 loss at Dallas last night, snapped their 2-game winning streak. First loss with Butler in uniform. And Curry went for 25, 5, and 8. Butler 21, 9, and 7. And the Rockets have the much easier back-to-back as they didn't have to travel afterwards. They come in off the 119-111 win at home over the Suns. Eason, who's not going to be there tonight, 25 points, 9 boards, 4 assists, 3 steals. It's a lot of stats to drop off the sheet. Jalen Green, 22. Dylan Brooks, 18. Eamon Thompson, 18, 11, and 10. Fourth triple-double of his young career. Many to come for him. Alperen Sengun went for 17 points and 13 boards. This is their third straight home game. Take it away, Derl, because I don't want the Warriors here. Am I nuts?
Right. No, I'm absolutely with you. This is my official play here, and I will set the table for you. I'm looking at this game just from really a coaching perspective and the need to kind of gain ground, right? So if you look at the last 10, man, Houston had went on a skid. If you look at their results, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight losing games. And that actually brought them down in the standings quite a bit as well. And so when you have a win against Toronto and then you have a good win against Phoenix, I do believe Ime is going to coach these guys up. I really do. And I think Kerr is more on the side of, I think he came out and said, hey, I'm going to rest my veterans, or he at least hinted to it. And I just think this is a game to where Ime is going to basically tell his team, this is the game we could win and make up some of that ground. They haven't really been good offensively, but the defense is still there. The defense is still there. And so I do believe this is a spot to where Houston can win this game and cover by margin, if you ask me. Now, the 6.5, that number I'm not too afraid of here. only because of the situation. Yes, you got back-to-backs on both these teams, but as you said, Golden State had to do a travel. And back-to-back travel is really not good. That's kind of one of Ski's little tidbits that he looks at, to where you off a back-to-back travel, that's probably not the best spot for you. Kerr just might rest his veterans, and so now you don't have any bigs here as well, right? You don't have any bigs at all. We know LJ's play. He would always go for Houston first half. They've always covered that at home, whether they're a favorite or a dog, which is, in this spot here, you're looking at 3 points. I wanted to go that route. However, I think the scoring hasn't just been there as of late. And I just looked at the last three for Houston. And for Houston, you've got the last three averaging at 45, if I'm looking at it right. Yeah, 45.3 points average in their last three, in comparison to Golden State giving you 56.3. So that's a wide margin. If you look at their yearly average, Houston is 10th in the league, giving you, or 15th or 16th rather, 55.9 points in the first half over Golden State's 53.6. So that's still not that 3 points you need to basically cover by 2 baskets in the first half. I don't think Golden State plays with any effort. I really don't. I don't. So the way I'm going to look at this is, give me Houston. I've got 6. So I don't know if there's a 6.5 there. I've got 6 at -110. I'm making that official here. Houston -6 for the full game. And then I'm also going to make this official as well. I do believe, I was looking at Alperen's rebounds. He gave you 13 against Phoenix. He gave you 3 against Toronto. He gave you 8 against Houston. And then 10 Dallas. He gave you 10 against Minnesota and gave you 20 against Brooklyn. And I have his rebounds at 10.5 juice to the over. I'm going to go to that. So give me Alperen Şengün, rebounds over 10.5 at -125. Give me Houston Rockets -6 for the cover. I do believe that they can win this game. And it's just a way for Ime to build this team back up, coming off that loss. They want to go in with, at least with a win going into the All-Star break, and then kind of regroup and recalibrate. And this is the perfect time to do it at home against the Warriors team, to where that coach just really feels like, I don't care. We still got a whole half of the season to get things right and recalibrate ourselves and implement some things for Jimmy Butler. I do believe it's more of a Houston Rockets spot. So I like those 2 spots here. I'm really, really close to also looking at Golden State's team total. That total is very low, 218.5 for the game itself. So we're looking at maybe -10, is that 105, 106? That seems really low.
We're getting conflicting information from the market. First off, what did you get the over 10.5 boards at?
-125. It's juice, but I'll step on it.
Okay, well, I can get you -122, so we'll give you that there. Over
Okay.
10.5 boards. Also, on the spread, you have a choice to make too, because you can get. I mean, this line just continues to move towards the Warriors, so it's just throwing me for a loop. I can give you -5.5 at -112.
Yeah. So I mean, we haven't heard any type of new injury news yet. We've got that. We've already had the 1 o'clock injury report that came out. So I don't know if there's going to be any shifting news. I'm just going to stick to those 2 plays, because those I felt good about. I got -6, so I'll play what I've played. So if it's better odds for the show, let's do it. But I played the -6 at -110.
You can have the -6 if you want. We give you to -101.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, -6 and -101 here for our guy Derl. I'm hesitant tonight just because of the Pacers not seemingly caring early in that game to decide who cares the most. Like, I just and I expected to be on the Rockets. I didn't expect to come here and see this big move to the Warriors. I thought that everybody was going to read how good Terry Eason looked last night, and now he's not in the lineup. I thought that was going to be the key point. I was like, I mean, don't we think that, that coach could give Steph the night off, knowing that he's got the All-Star busyness coming up? I wasn't sure exactly what to do.
This is also a good angle. I just saw this. I read what JW wrote. This is the second back-to-back for Golden State within this week. That's a really good spot there too. They played against Utah on the 5th.
Yeah,
and then they went to LA.
Mhm.
So now you got the same spot where they're doing a traveling back-to-back within that short of span. I would not be surprised, if Kerr's just like, okay, man, we're already checked out. We are already checked out. And just you see this injury report come into play. But there's no way that Ime, in my opinion, is checking his players out. You lost too many games in a row, and you got to make up some ground. So I think they keep their foot on the throttle here and just let's win this game. Let's win it by margin. Let's get out and enjoy the break.
They are coming off a win. I mean, BJ says Rocket
coming off 2 wins.
I just mean like they're not, coming off an immediate loss.
That's true.
I know what you mean, BJ, just because they didn't travel, but and then there's the market moving towards Warriors.
You think that's a little scary?
I thought that I was going to be with you here on the Rockets. So obviously I'm going to keep looking at the Rockets, but I'm certainly not going to bet it as soon as the show's over or anything like that. Let's roll on. 8 p.m. Eastern, we have the Sacramento Kings, 28-26, 14-13 on the road at the New Orleans Pelicans, 12-42, 8-19 at home at Smoothie King Center in New Orleans, Louisiana. Don't forget, we're racing camels here at the end of today's program. $50 up for grabs for the fastest camel in the world. Sacramento 3-2 over the past 5, 14th fastest pace, 100.41 possessions a game, 48.4 from the field, and 33.1 from 3. Pelicans are shooting nice from 3 of late, 37% from 3, just 45.6 from the field, playing at a faster pace, 101.8 possessions a game, obviously in the throes of a losing streak. And these teams just met here last night, a 119-111 Kings win. To add to that, this is their third meeting in 5 days. The Kings won the first 2. So obviously I want to get on the Pelicans, but that is easier said than done. So 4 King starters in double figures last night. Keon Ellis coming off the bench with 27. DeMar goes for 24. Levine goes for 23 and 7. Sabonis 16 and 15. And then Zion puts up 40 on Saturday, 33 on Tuesday. He's played in 18 games. 18 games this year. He's not played in a back-to-back game since October. He has played in 4 in a row. So obviously we don't expect him to be in the lineup. He's not been ruled out yet. He is available. Oh, no, that was yesterday. Sorry. Available yesterday. So I don't see why he would be in the lineup. I think Fatty going to get his rest. I would love him to show some character and be in the lineup and support his teammates. But if you have those expectations on Zion Williamson, he is going to be left not liking the sport. Alvarado, the difference, man. What a difference maker. 18 points, 9 assists in 32 minutes, 10th start of the season. I just, I would love to figure. So I guess what I'm saying is this. If Zion's announced out and this line moves further towards the Kings, then am I going to have, I'd like to say yes. Then I'd want the Pelicans because I know they're going to try. I don't know if I can. Again, like I'm trying to talk myself into finding a way to pack the Pelicans, whether it be first quarter, first half, just because they've lost twice in the last 5 days to this team. They just lost them last night. But maybe they need Zion to be putting up 40 for them to be in these games. And I don't want to just force the action here From a total standpoint, we have a 235. It's minus 110 to the over. It opened up at 237. We had a 2-point drop. And then when I get to the cash flow here for this one, you have 81% ticket, 75% cash on the over, and then 52% ticket, 62% cash on the Kings. And that surprises me too. I guess I would find the Pelicans more appealing if the Kings had 85% of the tickets and 95% of the cash. The fact that it's 50-50 also, I mean, everybody's trying to find a way to bet the Pelicans because they've lost twice in 5 days to this team. It's
right.
Make some sense of all of this, Darryl, my man. Take it
Yeah.
away, Kings, Pelicans.
This was all over the place, but the first thing I looked at was the total. And I was like, wow, this total's at 235.5. They were at 239.5 yesterday. That didn't hit. They missed it by roughly 10 points. They played in on the 8th. That game went over, and that was at 240. But when they had played on the 12th, now this is a lot longer than last year, that game went under 232. So the games in the 230s are definitely going under. This is a high scoring game. In my opinion, when I see 61.5, 60.5 points in the first quarter, and then 121.5 for the first half. And so I just couldn't gauge that. I was trying to see, okay, are we absolutely playing no defense whatsoever this game? So all in all, the way I wanted to attack this game is what just old reliable for me, and that has just been Malik Monk. And the they've played 3 games already. He hasn't hit this just last game, and that was his assists. So Malik Monk, if you know, his assists have been they were cashing for a little bit. We saw a little bit of kind of fall off once Levine came in. He gives you 4 assists yesterday, but when he had played the Pels on the 8th, he gave you 7 there. They played the Mavs, he gave you 8. Trailblazers 4, and then Orlando 3. But when he played them, the Pels in the first game, he gave you 9. And so we're sitting right back at a 6.5 here. I like that number. I do. I do believe that if we're going to talk about a high scoring game and we're looking at a 235.5, then I think all we need to do is look at Malik Monk's assists. And so I'm going Malik Monk back to his assist. He didn't hit it last game. Bad shooting night. Didn't hit it last game, but I'm going to go right back to it and think that he does here. Malik Monk over his 6.5 assists. I got it now at minus 129. So again, we're talking about some serious juice here, but I do like that. Malik Monk over 6.5 assists.
I'll see if I can lower the vig. They just pulled this game. I wonder what the hell is going on with Zion.
Well, he said he was ready to play back-to-backs, right?
Yeah.
But essentially that the management, the guys who call the shots, they're the ones that are saying that he can't play back-to-backs. So I don't think we're expecting him to play back-to-backs until something is said otherwise. But pretty much he threw the coaches and the office under the bus by saying, yeah, he's healthy enough to play back-to-backs, but they won't let him. So maybe this is where you get Zion sitting or something like that. I'm not sure.
I'm kind of flipping here. Okay, sorry. What was your vig on the 6.5 assists?
Minus 129.
Okay, I'll see if I can get lower than that. But what do I know? What can I count on? And I guess the only thing I can really count on in this game is Doug Christie getting the Kings to show effort.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was reading something just about his scheme, and that this will honestly be the test of if he's getting the most effort out of his guys, and that is playing in a back-to-back against a team that you've pretty much washed going into an all-star break. Like, how coached up can he have these guys? How motivated are they? Right, and this is really going to the veterans of the team. So if they come here and ball out, then I mean, the coach has their ears. And so this one here, I guess you could use this kind of like as a guideline to see where he is with coaching them and how they respond to him coaching. So yeah, it's just a lot of points to me, and I'm just thinking, is this the highest total on the board? Does anybody know that? I didn't check. Is this the highest total?
Yes, by far.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. We've got the highest total on the board, and it's just if this is how it's going to go down, then we'll see how good his coaching is and if they believe in him. So that total was the first thing that jumped out to me. I was like, 235.5 is absolutely crazy um, with the given scenario. So yeah, just give me Monk here. If I add something, maybe you could, look at what I think Trey Murphy is doing. Trey is looking pretty good as of lately, also. So again, I've used this term before, glue guys, and so maybe need to start looking at a lot of these glue guys or younger players and their props, right? Maybe they might get some run, a little more run than they normally would. But I'm just going to go back to reliable. Didn't hit Monk on yesterday with his assists, but I think he can give you 7 today.
I'm kind of in the. I came in thinking the same as Saturated, and I was just trying to get there. And he says, pretty simple for me. Can't trust the Kings to win by double digits on the road yet. No thanks. Give me Pels plus the puntos.
Wow.
That's what I thought I was going to be on, but at this point, I'm going to need to wait a little bit longer here. But I do want action, so let's see if we find it here.
Okay.
Let's roll on to our next spot, but Derl on Monk over 6.5 assists here. Let's roll. 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Miami Heat 25-27, 12-16 on the road at the Dallas Mavericks, 29-26, 16-11 at home. American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. The Thunder is still winning by 14 last night. It's like, oh, finally they're not going to pull away. And then a 24-0 run to start the fourth quarter. I mean,
it's crazy.
Good God.
Absolutely crazy.
They're phenomenal. They're so good. But the Heat were in that for a long time, and they probably put out a lot of effort. Now, you say the same thing about the Mavs. Obviously, took a lot of effort. Kyrie went off. They take out the Warriors. This total opens up at 222. It's now at 221.5. It did get down to 220.5. Had a little bit of buyback. On the point spread here, there we go. Come on. Going a little slow here. On the point spread, Dallas is plus 1.5 at minus 106. Opening up at plus 2. So a half-point move towards the Dallas Mavericks. Then we'll go to the cash flow here. We have 65% of the tickets and 62% of the cash on the spread on the Mavericks. Let's get this here. We have on the money line, we have 65% of the tickets and 69% of the cash on the Mavericks. Then we have 52% of the tickets and 54% of the cash, 52 and 54 on the under, which is something we rarely see in the NBA. Nutflush saying, what do we have for this Dallas team total? Dallas team total, we can get the under 110.5, or it's at 110.5, slightly juiced to the under. Heat team total at 111.5, quite a bit juiced to the under. And this will help us lead us into plans. Stacks play of the day number 1 from our guy Justin McKelvey is the over 221.5. Over 221.5 here for our guy Justin.
Stacks.
Toby Lane talking about the players missing from the Mavericks lineup. Already we know that now Kyrie's not on the injury report at all.
Yeah, his lines are up.
Yeah, so now I know we were expecting that, but Toby, but let's go over the players who are out. Washington, Powell, Lively, Gafford, Davis out. Kyrie listed as in. This is a fascinating spot here. So let's set this one up appropriately. Miami 1-4 over their past 5, 25th fastest pace, 96.8 possessions a game, shooting the ball poorly, 41.7 from the field and 33 from three. Dallas 3-2 over their past 5, 26th fastest pace, 96.49 possessions a game, shooting the ball really well, 50% from the field and 42 from three. Of course, both teams on the second half of back-to-back. Heat coming off their third straight loss, 115-101 at Oklahoma last night. Bam goes for 27 and 15. Tyler Hero just 14. Davion Mitchell 14 as well. And Miami, of course, was in control until the Thunder opened the fourth quarter with just dominance. Duncan Robinson and Terry Rozier missed the game. There's a stomach illness that has hit Miami this week. I don't like it. Doesn't help focusing on this capping wise. We just watched them dealing with the stomach illness without Duncan Robinson, Terry Rozier. Be in control of the game for three quarters. So it just never. I remember we don't need to get into specifics, but focusing too much on the sickness doesn't seem to help your ROI ever. In fact, it seems to hinder it. Dallas comes in off their third win in 4 games, 111-107 at home of the Warriors last night. Kyrie goes for 42, and we see from Saturated here, Saturated moving on. Max Christie over 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
Wow. Yes.
He was thought to be just a throw-in here in the trade. But, man, we get to see what happens when a coach believes in you and says, I believe in you. So he makes his first start on Wednesday, 17 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, hits the free throws to seal the victory. So another interesting part. So you have Miami sick. You have Miami sick, but Miami with Ware and Bam on the 5 and the 4, going up against a Mavericks team that has one player over 6'8", one healthy player over 6'8". Take it away for us here, Derl. Heat, Mavericks.
I have Max Christie over 14.5 points as an official play.
All right.
That's my first thing. Max Christie is absolutely balling. I just don't know if he's really taking this personal, but in the last 5 games, he's already been over. The lowest points he's given you is 15. Golden State gives you 17. Sac gives you 15. Rockets gives you 23. Boston, 15. Philly, 15. I do believe we got a slight edge there against the Miami Heat team that is absolutely probably not going to play a lot of people. That's one thing. The second thing I haven't pushed the button on just yet. I did make that official with Max Christie, is if Dallas has no bigs, then do you think Miami will stay playing small ball? Do you think it's just small ball across the board for both teams? And the reason why I ask that is because another spot that I have been looking at is Khalil Ware and his rebounds, and his boards are at 8.5 right now. I haven't made that official, but I'm just trying to see, will Khalil Ware get any run?
It's a very good question, because we've seen the ability to move Bam to the 5 in a small ball lineup. It's interesting. I can understand having trepidation here, because
that
the Mavs are going to come at the Heat, try to mess with them with the small ball lineup. So
chat, what do you think out there? What do you because I do like Khalil Ware. Just looking at his stats with that when it comes to boards, hasn't been the best, but I can understand against the teams. He gave you 6 against OKC. That's understandable. 7 against Boston. But Brooklyn, 14. Philly, 13. Chicago, 12. And those are the last 5. So I'm just trying to, I guess, figure out the scheme that will be played here. Because if it's small ball, then I can understand that number being so low with Dallas not having any bigs, and that number just being low because maybe Khalil doesn't get that much run. So he would have to essentially give you maybe at least 4 boards in the first quarter was when he's playing, right? Because you just don't know how much burn he's going to get in that second half of the game. Okay.
This is tricky. What was the juice on your Christie spot?
115.
Because we have a very different thing happening at our books here offshore. They have the under 14 and a half points at minus 130. The over at minus 102.
Yeah.
Heavily juiced to the under there.
Yeah, mine's juiced to the over. My under is at minus 113.
Okay. But I'm going to give you the over 14 and a half and minus 102 here. Nutflush Allen says, understand how much energy the Mavs gave out with Clay last night. He was bombing away. Kyrie was making everything. The energy for Dallas will be down tonight. Yeah. Again, though, the Heat having to travel and Dallas not having to travel is a issue. Heat obviously dealing, but I agree. I agree with you. But again, the Heat used a lot of energy trying to mess with the Thunder, and they did it for 3 quarters. God, these games are pretty tricky.
Yeah, they're very tricky. They're very tricky.
I would have rather the Heat get blown out by 40. If the Heat get blown out by 40 against the Thunder last night, I'm all over them here.
Yeah.
But all right, I'm gonna need more.
No, I mean it's still 14 points, still a blowout. I mean, well, I get it. Yeah, I mean, it was a push, but I get it. Yeah, this one here. I'm just gonna look at the player who's been the most consistent, in my opinion, and that has been Christie. He's a young kid, man. He's probably the youngest on the team. He's a young kid, man. So I just, it's one of those things to where, yeah, either him or Kyrie has to show up. But yeah, this one here, I just don't know what the lineups would look like.
All right, well, we're gonna find something. I'm gonna keep hammering this stuff. Let's roll on. Jermaine says Dallas got nobody. Then people that don't play much gonna want to play hard as fuck. Watch. Interesting.
That's true. That's very true. That's very true. It's a prove it spot.
That's interesting. That one's gonna need more thought for sure. I thought things would start, rising to be bet, but that's not happening yet. Kelly McKinnon says his Camel is spitting mad, getting ready to race.
Oh, come on.
8:30 p.m. Eastern, Oklahoma City Thunder 44. Now they spit when they're happy too. Kelly, these fucking Camels just spit, man. Oh, there it is. There are the Camels all lined up. We got 2 games left though, and I've not moved on anything in NBA. We're having a good season, so let's roll here. Ross Pitts looking at Heat team total under. Oklahoma City Thunder 44-9, 18-6 on the road. The Minnesota Timberwolves 30-25, 15-13 at home. We're the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Both teams are on the second half of a back-to-back. Thunder coming off their 7th straight win, 115-101 at home over the Heat on Wednesday. Shea goes for 32. Lou Dort went for 17, 7 of 10 shooting, and excellent defense. Well as always, but he's just a gamer, man. Good Canadian boy. Thunder 5-0 over the past 5, of course. We're talking past five stats. 21st fastest pace, 99.5 possessions a game. Minnesota had the exact same pace, pretty much 99.8 possessions a game, slightly faster. Oklahoma City shooting much better, 48.9 from the field and 38.8 from 3, while Minnesota just 43.9 from the field and 34.5 from 3. Line history wise, Minnesota sitting here at plus 8. I'm basically, I don't know, like it's a 7.5 here, but it's plus 103 if you want Minnesota. So it's basically an 8. The line's moving towards the Thunder. Why wouldn't it be? I mean, this Thunder team is just fucking uncanny. Good God. I hate sitting here with no futures on them, and the line's just too small to move on now. The total at 222.5 had a half-point move towards the under. We now have a 222. It is juiced to the over, so barely a half-point move. We get to the cash flow here for the Thunder Wolves. You have 23% of the tickets and 48% of the cash on the Timberwolves. The line's not moving towards them. 90 and 85 on the over. Take a look at the expectations of the lineup. Crusoe out. Thank God. Watching him take threes without jumping is just horrific.
Yeah.
Now, Chet is going to be in. Chet is going to be in.
Yeah.
Casey Wallace was ruled out Wednesday. He's missed 6 straight with the right shoulder strain. I don't see why, if you're dealing with a shoulder strain, why you play him here. Give him extra time off. So expect him out. For the Wolves, Randall DiVincenzo out. Then we have, that's, I guess, all that needs to be worried about. Conley's also a game time decision. So maybe that should be just quickly looked into. Conley, he missed Wednesday's game, 3 straight games with the right finger sprain. So I don't know if Conley will be in or not. Okay, so let's roll this one out. So the public is backing the Thunder with smaller amounts of money on them, but this line's clearly moving briskly towards the Thunder. And we have the homecoming for Chet Holmgren, Minnehaha Academy in the Twin Cities before he went to Gonzaga. He took Wednesday off for rest, so he's going to be in business here. And he's going to have to be taking on Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid. Timberwolves coming off their second straight loss, 103, 101 at home to the Bucks last night, despite no Giannis, no Dame. And Edwards went for 28, missed the last second shot. Take it away here, Derl, Thunder, Timberwolves.
I noticed something, man. And this was actually watching the Sacramento Kings. Has anybody noticed how Lou is shooting from the 3 now this year? It's insane. Like, the kid is actually making 3-point shots. He made 6 at Sacramento. He made 2 against Milwaukee. He made 1 against Phoenix. He made 2 against New Orleans, and he made 2 against the Heat. Then I listened to a show today, and the guy was really, really bullish on Lou Dort's threes today. And so what I looked at was opponents' points from 3, and lo and behold, Minnesota is in the top 3. So they give you about 37 points in threes alone. So I was just trying to understand that guy's angle on why he would choose Lou Dort in his threes. But surprisingly, just looking at Lou's body of work, he is making threes. He is making threes here. The last time they played, which was, I believe, December, he was 4 for 7. Right? He was 4 for 7. So right before New Year's, 4 for 7 from 3. So that was just something I just found a little funny, because Lou Dort has never been known as a 3-point shooter. But looking at his numbers now, it looks like this man is actually shooting threes and making them. So his threes, it looks like they're still at 1.5, right? And you just ask him to make 2 threes against a Minnesota team that'll give you about 40 points a game in threes. I want no parts in this game. That's just me just kind of talking about it to see if anybody's actually noticed that trend with Lou shooting more threes this year. But yeah, I'm off this game. This would be a good game to watch. OKC should come in here and just dominate. It is a young team, and Chet is, like you said, it's his homecoming game. So maybe look at some Chet props here. Maybe he just shows out. He looks like he's specifically rested just to get down for this spot here. So, I mean, you even got Chet. He might even shoot you a couple threes. You got it 1.5 threes at plus 139 for him. However, his points and his boards might be the way to go. His points, 14.5 right now you could get, and his boards right now looking at 6.5 for his boards alone, and that's juice to the over. I'm curious to see what his double-double would be. And it looks like his double-double is plus 387. I might put something on his double-double. I'm just going to see how this goes. This one here, I've got to do a little more thinking. But it looks like Chet and putting his overs, at least on his points, would be the spot to go here.
Yeah, I can understand the Chet look. If the Timberwolves didn't lose to a team missing Dame and Antetokounmpo, I'd be on the Thunder here. But that was a debacle for Minnesota. So I expect them to be relevant and care in this basketball game. I do not want to fade the Thunder ever. So I'm not going to sit here and. Saturated says bet the house OKC over 8.5 steals. I mean,
Okay, so you're seeing everybody questionable now too. So that is, I think Minnesota doesn't play anybody. Ant now's questionable. Conley is questionable. Gobert is questionable. I think they're being downgraded to like probably not playing at all. Now then that changes everything. I might, depending on how that injury report goes, I might just put something on a double for Chet.
Yeah, because Ant and Rudy they're being downgraded to questionable. BJ talking about that too because we knew Conley was questionable. I don't have Ant and Rudy questionable. I mean, it's just astonishing to me. I mean, if I'm coaching the Timberwolves, and I'm like, I look at Ant and Gobert, I'm like, you assholes just lost to a fucking G League basketball team, and you want the night off tonight?
You want the night off?
Oh my god! I would be so disgusted. I would be so disgusted.
I'm going to tell you another play too that has been. It's been pretty. I guess it's been a good angle just knowing when to get it, and that is Isaiah Hartenstein double. That guy give you 10 and 10. Now maybe with Chet being ruled back in, see that Saturated just said it right there. He's a rebounder. Maybe that's the better angle. So yeah, probably look at Hartenstein double and Chet points.
God, the Thunder, they're honest, like the Cavaliers. Maybe we should just bet the Thunder.
Yeah,
Another double-digit win and call it a day.
Young guys there too, right? Was that the second youngest team under the Spurs, or is it vice versa? Or are they the youngest team and then it's the Spurs? I don't know, but yeah, I mean these guys are going to ball regardless.
God, this is frustrating. Nothing's coming out here.
Nothing.
Let's talk about our final spot on the board. See if we can get something here. You know, if I just got to focus on college basketball today, I will. But it's a little defeatist in nature to sit here and go, oh, I can't find any angles. Let's roll. Final spot on the board, 9 p.m. Eastern, with the LA Clippers 29 and 23, 11 and 13 on the road. I had 11 bets last night in the NBA. You know, and I want to see here.
That's crazy. Well, there's a lot of games.
Yeah, but there was a lot of angles, and I was wrong, obviously, about some of them, but
yeah,
thank God for the Clippers, and here they are. God, the Clippers been good to me this year.
Mm-hmm.
Jazz 13 and 46 and 18 at home. I also got in live on the Clippers too. It's like it's great. Delta Center, Salt Lake City, Utah. Both teams 2 and 3 over the past 5, playing a very different pace. This is just like, what the hell do you expect from the Jazz here? I just they snapped their 3-game losing streak with a big win at home over the Lakers.
We don't want to talk about it.
Well, you know, we're gonna have our chances.
Jesus, God damn,
Luka, that guy. You know, I spent my whole time in Costa Rica challenging Flash to a race. I thought I could, you know, he was an ex-Premier League, you know, athlete star. I wanted to race him. I want 100 meters. If I would love to race Luka. I would make such a big deal about it. I'd love to race him. 100-yard dash against Luka right now. The guy looks so fucking slow. And I used to say Flash looked slow, but I was just making fun of me. He didn't look slow. Let's get into line of street here for Clippers Jazz. This total's at 224.5 minus 110 to the over. Opened up at 225.5, dropped to 224.5. You know, they wouldn't let me race Flash. They were like trying not to because they had a big issue 3 years before where one guy wanted to race the other guy. They had a few drinks. They finally raced, and the one guy fell, broke his arm. And so they were trying to get me not to race Flash, even though I wanted it so bad.
So you can't Native saying you can't even beat Jose.
Say what?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just putting it out there. You can't even beat Jose, bro.
Oh, man. Well, Jose and I were going to race on skates. That's what I was going to focus on.
Oh, God.
But look, Jose is 27. He should be able to beat me in a race. Shouldn't he? I mean, Nate, can you beat Jose in a foot race?
Nope.
No. Nate is a pretty athletic dude. Maybe he can. the Clippers go from -7.5 to -9.5. So you know what's going to happen here for the Jazz. The Jazz don't want to win.
Yeah, you better step on it. Just step on it. Just step on it.
But what I'm going to expect the Clippers to go all out here after that
They
phenomenal
don't have
victory.
to. They don't have to go all out.
We have 58% of tickets, 69% cash on the Clippers, and those, cappers look like they're in business here. Utah shooting a little better, 47.4 from the field, 33.5 from three. Clippers shooting well as always, 48 from the field, 36.5 from three. So both teams coming off the second half of back-to-back. We just watched these guys play Saturday in LA. Zubac went for 26 and 15. Storm and Norman went for 26. Clippers win 130-110. They come in off their second straight win, 128-114, a home over Memphis last night. It was so easy to know that Memphis wasn't going to try, and sad for Grizzlies fans. Bogdanovich made his debut with the Clippers. 7 points, 3 of 4 shooting, 2 boards, 1 assist, and a steal. Then we have, for Utah, coming off the win over the Lakers, Markkanen, he missed that Saturday game against the Clippers. He comes off going for 32. I mean, can we trust Walker Kessler? He missed a Saturday game. He just went 8 for 8 from the field last night with 8 boards and 6 blocked shots and 2 steals. Utah shot 52.3% from the field and had 30 assists. Can we sit back and expect any of that to happen again tonight? Take it away, Darryl. What a shit show the NBA can be at some point. Sometimes it's phenomenal, but this night looks terrible. Take it away, Clippers Jazz.
Yeah, I like the Clippers. Give me the Clippers here. Give me the Clippers. It's definitely not. I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is play here, but the way I approached it is this: the Jazz absolutely smacked the shit out of the Lakers yesterday, right? I think part of that was okay. We got to get our lick back because the Lakers demolished them the previous game. The second thing was I do believe with that travel and because of really the Lakers have been balling as of lately. I think they were just checked out. I really do, and I should have thought about that before I played the Lakers because I actually played them yesterday, first half. I played the Lakers at -5 first half, and I was just like, yeah, this should be easy, and I just didn't really think about that. But you smack up a rising team. Yes, everybody's on a back-to-back, but you're still at home. And the Clippers come in as almost 10-point, favorites. Well, we got 7.5, but that gets bumped up 2 points already. This is what you would consider, a terrible line. You're not getting any value here if you didn't jump on this early. But I just do believe the Clippers are going to bring these guys back to earth. The Jazz is not a good team, and a lot of people are saying they don't want to win at all. And I just don't think you get a good shooting performance like that at all, like you had yesterday. For a minute, man, they just couldn't miss anything. They could not miss anything at all. And on top of that, they were shitty at the line. Like Clarkson at one point had missed he was like 1 for 5 with his free throws. But I saw the same thing with Austin Reeves not making any free throws. And I just do believe that by the second quarter, man, it was a wrap. It was a wrap. It was a high scoring first quarter. And I thought about going back to that angle here with this one, being such a little lower total. These teams are both giving you about 28, 29 points a quarter. But I just think that the Clippers are going to be better defensively here, to be honest with you. And all in all, Kessler and Marketing was open just so much, draining threes. But Kessler was just getting whatever he wanted in the paint, and I just don't think he's going to be able to do that against Zubac. That's my whole thing. So now you're depending more on these, Collier, who just kind of drove to the paint, drove to the basket at will, steals, bad passes, turnovers. It was just a sloppy game for LA, man. It was a sloppy game for LA. And I just think the Clippers come in with a little better structure here. And this line is large for a reason, man. It is. It's large for a reason. And it got bumped up 2 points for a reason. I just do believe you see what the Lakers that did to the Jazz the previous game is what the Clippers are going to do tonight to the Jazz. So give me the Clippers at -9.5. I believe that's probably the best play outside of maybe Houston covering and winning. I'm as confident with Houston winning, just like I am with the Clippers winning.
Huh. Well, thank God for you, Daryl, because I'm just sitting here.
Yeah, I got a -9.5 at -110. That is definitely another thing you could probably parlay is take Zubac for his double-double. He's going to give you a double-double. Take Zubac's boards or his double-double and find something else to parlay that with for just a little bit of extra money for some plus money. But absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to probably play. Once again, these injury reports are everywhere. But if you get, I'm just saying, Bam questionable, Andrew Wiggins has been ruled out. If Bam is questionable and is not playing, I'm absolutely gonna smack Khalil Ware double-double and put that with Ivica Zubac's double-double.
I think you're right to have the trepidation. I don't mean to talk you off of a spot, but if you're going up against a team that has one player over 6'8",
Right.
kid's going to mess with that. You're going to get destroyed if you try to go up against Ware. I think you've got to get Ware off the floor by putting
Get him off the floor.
smallest floor. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but
No, that makes sense.
I
That makes sense.
fear it. Big Mastro says Dallas smash spot tonight, so he thinks Mavs are
Yeah.
going to smash after that. Let's review action here. We have Derl on the Rockets -6 at -101. Sengun over 10.5 boards, and we have Stacks play of the day. Mavericks over the Mavericks game over 221.5. JW going to move on the Jazz plus 9.5. Derl's on in Kings Pelicanos Monk over 6.5 assists. -129. I still have some interest in the Pelicans. Honestly, I guess what I would like to have happen is Zion to be ruled out, the line to change maybe a little too much.
Hmm.
And I'm going to have interest in the Pelicans. But again, there's a lot of things that have to fall my way with Zion not being in the lineup. Darryl on Max Christie over 14.5 points -102. I have some interest on the Heat. Jim Rome's a douche in the house. OG Lowbagger says these guys are on vacation already. Live bets best look tonight. I agree. That's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thunder, Timber, but you have to be watching too. It's one of those nights. There's times where you kind of can be following the statistics and not be watching it live. Here, I think you need to really have a lay of the land with the break tomorrow. Thunder Wolves we've stayed off of, and Darryl's on the Clippers -9.5. Darryl, you came firing in a tricky board, so thank you for that, giving us action and thoughts and a plan here. And Saturated making moves as well. Zion is ruled out.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, I think this is going to fall into place. I want that line to move. I want it to move drastically, and then I think I'll get in. Thank you, Kelly. That's great. Saturated making moves. Colliers, assists. Kessler, rebounds. Harden, points. Mavs, money line. Christie, PRA. Butler over 10.5. Rebounds and assists. CJ McCollum, points. OKC, team steals. Yeah, CJ. This could be a CJ night, right? But again, the only fear I have about that Pelicans situation is that Doug Christie's getting the most out of these boys. So, but I plan on. I just copy paste Saturated's action. Darryl, you saved the NBA segment, so thank you. I'm sitting here just
all we got to do is cash it now, man. When I looked at this, I was like, man, I've made some plays actually while we were talking here, but this is just a dirty, nasty card, man. It's just if anything, yeah, you're either going to live bet or you're getting to the window very, very late. Very late, right? So the ones that I'm most confident about, like I said, it's definitely at Houston because you got to make up ground with the six straight losses. So you're already on your way. And the Clippers, I just think, are just a way better team, way better team. So let's go amongst assists. I do like that spot too, but we'll see what these guys are looking like. We will see absolutely what they're looking like.
And do I have any compassion for Zion now saying, I want to play in back-to-backs? Look, we all know that in life, if you act like a bitch, you get treated like a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just say after 5 years, "Oh no, I'm not a bitch anymore."
Mm-hmm.
So fuck off, Zion. Sit the fuck down. Do
Yeah,
squat.
this experiment is probably close to over. We had talked about that last week, that no one's untouchable at this point. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, this guy has showed you like no, he hasn't given you any type of proof that he can be that player, that he's gonna do the extra work and be, that number one solid pick that he should have been in the face of the team, let alone face of the league.
Oh yeah. And then look, I know a lot of people are shocked that I'm excited that BI is going to be in Toronto because he's not
Yeah.
proven that he's ready to play, game in and game out. But when you're up north,
Yeah, but
nobody wants to play in your country. You get pretty excited when a guy with incredible talent wants to play in
yeah,
Toronto.
but this is what I have to say about BI, man. Very, very quiet. He just keeps his head down, his mouth shut. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of, I guess, if you want to call him that, he brings his lunch pail to work every day, and he's going to give you what he's got. Now, he's injured. He does, he is injured, or he gets injured. He's had quite a few injuries, but I personally like Bi, man. I do. I think if you give him the right, you give him the right scenery, and you give him the right coach, and he's gonna give you the goods. He's gonna play good for you. I've missed him as a Laker. You know what I'm saying? I hated that he left the Lakers, but it is what it is. Maybe you need a team, a scenery like Toronto to get things back on track.
Where we will love him unconditionally. We will love
You
him.
paid him. You paid him, man. You gave him that extension. Like you listen. Those meetings behind closed doors, man, they might have really felt good about what they heard from him and what he's ready to do. And you just kind of get him out of a toxic environment like Nolans, right? And just put him in Canada, put him up there in Toronto, man. Toronto will treat him right.
And we trust Masai very, very much. Big Mastro playing Chet blocks 2, 3, and 4. That makes a ton of
Oh,
sense. Maybe
nice.
the
Nice.
Chet props I'm gonna have to look closer at. Let's see when the dust settles of who's gonna be in and who's gonna be out. Shout out to our guy
Yeah.
Timos in the house. You're just in time for Camel Racing, Timos. Thank you guys for rocking with us here in NBA. And Darryl, you saved the NBA program. I was just sitting here like
I know.
deer in the headlights.
Why is the Oklahoma City game off?
If we were going to guess, I would say it's because
Is it the mini
Ant
news?
is
Ant,
out
okay.
and Rudy is out, but that's just guessing.
Okay.
We'll have to wait and see. Darryl, you're the man. Thank you so much for being here
Thank you,
on
sir.
the show in a very tough card. Please support our guy Darryl. Support him on X, man. I'm gonna pop his X handle here in the chat. Please support our guy. It's Darryl. And if you want to rock with It's Darryl, you come down to San Antonio. God, we're 34 days away. 34 days away from warmth, good smoke, great food, incredible friends, and action, baby, action.
Absolutely.
Darryl, thank you, my man. Any last words for the Cappers supporting the show?
Appreciate you all, man. You guys go and enjoy the rest of your day. Let's win our bets, man, and I will see you all on next week.
There he is. Darryl Rice in the house. It's time to bring on our friend, co-host, and producer of the show, Jose Snips Bouquet, to the telecast. How are you, Jose?
There's warmth in the sun again, Jimmy. There is warmth in the sun. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. I'm tearing up right now thinking about how beautiful the day is. Oh,
Jesus.
The sun is shining. I mean,
Wow,
like
you
Darryl
just
said, on
smoked.
this side of the grass, it's a good day. I mean, come on.
You just smoked for sure. Attorney said, "How's the grilled cheese in San Antonio?" The grilled cheese is delicious. The burgers are phenomenal. The wings are spectacular.
Of course.
I just need more food to start the day. It's always been a panic in the morning. You know what? It's just like going to Pubapalooza is just like going to Vegas. You're gonna get better at Pubapalooza. This is gonna be my best Pubapalooza. Drink less and eat more. That's the mandate. Drink less, eat more. Now, if I can just eat more, then I can also drink more. But it's the key is to eat more. Jose, my friend, you ready to Camel Race?
Sure.
Now, first, have you told everybody why you're not here on Tuesdays, Wednesdays? Because there's a lot of rumors going around.
No, I'd like to keep it a mystery. Keep it a mystery, and it's not
All
going to
right.
be just Tuesdays and Wednesdays. It'll change up, but
Okay.
yeah, but
You wanna
yes, I'll
keep the
keep it a
mystery.
mystery. Yeah,
Alright.
keep it a mystery because I like with the rumors that swirl, like selling panties outside of my apartments, and maybe not a bad rumor to have, I guess.
All right. Okay. The rumors will stay here. But let's race some fucking camels. Jose, let's race some
Sure.
goddamn camels. How many gold members do we have?
With 81 gold members,
Thank
God
you,
bless
guys.
them all.
Thank you so much for
God
supporting us,
bless
Pub
them
Sports
all.
Radio.
But
Let's
yes,
fucking race, man.
let's race some
fucking race.
camels here. It's a beautiful day, Jimmy. Again, waking up today, I feel like I just reborn. I feel like there's just the crick in my neck is gone. The shame that I have has been lifted, and the sun is shining, and it's a beautiful day. And it's a beautiful day to race camels here. Look at Helga flying out to the lead.
Wow.
Ricky Bobby out there, Truth Teller and Old
Teller.
Nunya down there as well. Look, Jose Buchanan in the mix here. This couldn't be such a day. The sun couldn't shine twice. Lightning can't strike twice, can it, Jimmy? There he is up there in the front. Truth Teller, Nunya, Joey Marinaccio, TJ, all in the mix, Jimmy.
Billy Friedrich making the power move. So is Crystal Craig and Zoe Faye trying to move to the front. But Billy Friedrich has taken the lead. Oh, no, Billy, no. I would yell louder, but the effects of COVID still. Jose Bouquet still up front. Jose Bouquet trying to get to the wire.
Lightning can't do it.
And here comes the pipe player. And here comes Big T. And here comes Big Show. And here comes Saturated. Here comes Justin McKelvey. Boogeyman. Not Flush Allen. Going to get there. Is he going to get there? No, it is TJ. Another win for TJ. I don't know if he was even informed about the first win.
Congratulations to TJ.
TJ is $50 richer. Just barely beaten Nut Flush Allen, head of Randall Sheffield. Another camel race where Nasty Nate, nowhere to be found. Oh, no, 14th. 14th. There's Nasty Nate. See him now alongside Nut Flush Allen. Fat Wally there, Rob Free. Don't see Jimmy in the bag anywhere. Another nice performance by him. Burke right there. Big Ragu with a fine showing. Justin McKelvey 10th. But TJ is $50. It's been a while since Jim Robes the Douche rocked with us. He doesn't know that we camel race. He doesn't even know. We race camels. What we do.
Welcome to the show, Jim Rums a douche.
Oh, he's the OG, but it'd been a while. Didn't know that we fucking camel race, man. Camel race. TJ with yet another winner. TJ winning the $50. Congratulations to TJ. It's almost baseball season. Almost baseball season.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is. Yes. Yes, it is, Jimmy. I can't wait.
Let's review all action, my friend, here on the telecast. First, let's see if anything's changed in the Four Nations. Minus 120 to the under now. I like it. I like it a lot.
You know, Jimmy, I'm not going to lie. When you were basking in the glow of Canadian hockey success.
Yeah. We still have some weak goaltending, but.
No, apparently Jordan Binnington made a big save. He's back.
Oh, he was incredible in overtime, but that goal that he allowed to make it 3-2, I mean, it's a real problem. I mean, it's just. He steps up at times. He's a Stanley Cup winner, but the goaltending is a problem. And this is what I fear is if Hellebuck, who's the best goalie in the tournament, if he stands on his head tonight, he's going to play. Who can stop America if they have great goaltending too? Nobody.
I hope you guys do. I hope you guys.
But what were you going to say when I was basking in it?
No, I was just thinking about the glory that's going to happen this baseball season because I cannot wait to fucking bet the Boston Red Sox this year. I cannot wait, Jimmy.
That was a lot of money for Bregman.
Oh, I can't wait.
Now I know why we didn't sign him. 3 years,
Good.
120 for that guy?
Of course. Great deal. Perfect deal. Perfect deal for what the Boston Red Sox need. Perfection. Give him what he wants. We love it.
A lot of money.
Opt-outs after every year, and whenever he wants to fuck off, he can.
Why would he opt out when he plays? He's going to play 60 games next year. He's going to hit 275 with 7 homers.
Here we go.
Okay, how many
Fucking
home runs do you think
60
Bregman hit?
game.
How many
30 home runs.
How many?
30.
Is that where you're going to set the over-under?
That's where I'll set the over-under. Yeah.
Oh, come on. You're not going to
Of
do that.
course. 162 guy. Come on. I can't wait. He plays
30 home runs, you think he hits?
Yes. It's going to be great. He's going to be hitting 3. It's going to make me happy every day. The sun shines, Jimmy. The sun shines again on the Boston Red Sox. And I cannot wait to laugh at the New York Yankees as they don't make the playoffs, Jimmy. We're going to stomp on them, you and me, because the Blue Jays are even going to be better than the Yankees this year. And I cannot wait.
Wow. What can we wager? I'm in arrears with you, right? Do I owe you a couple steaks?
You do owe me a steak, yes.
A
And we
steak.
still have Vladdy. Well, you owe me 2, but I'm pre-counting Vladdy as a victory for you.
Okay, yeah, because it's going to be a victory. Because there's 0 chance he hits 30 home runs. I can give you odds, too. You want odds?
No. Let's straight up steak bet again. Get even on your steak.
Okay, I'll get you on a steak. There's 0 chance. 0 chance.
I can't
I'd like
wait.
to bet more. I'd like to throw it.
I know you would. I'd like to bet more on a
man.
foot race between us, but you know, it is what it is.
I'm a lot older than you.
That's fine. Yeah.
No, of course
That's
I'm
fine.
slowing down. I know when I was playing basketball and with with family, and they were like, "You got to beat him." You know how slow he is. I'd never heard anybody say that about me in my whole life. I always had speed. They're like, "You know how slow he is." I was like, "What? Talking to me?" Okay, let's review action here. I'm on the under 6 in Finland, USA, and I'm on the first period under 1.5. Bobano on the USA team total over 3.5 minus 142. We heard Turnsey come in. He's on the USA team total under 3.5 at plus 130. Hopefully he's not taken down by empty net goals. I'm very excited to watch that hockey game. Stacks play today, number 1, Dallas Mavericks over 221.5. Stacks play the number 2 is UC Davis. Spooner play today, Maryland money line. Gerald Jones, Drexel Hampton over 131. Kong's clip smash play today. Chet Holmgren 3 or more blocks at plus 175. Paco Healy on UC San Diego minus 11.5 banger. Dougie Wise on the Rockets minus 6 minus 115. Troy Torrance on the under 145.5 and Hofstra and William and Mary. Spooner is also on Jacksonville State money line and Drexel money line. Kelly McInnes, he gave us the final score of Canada-Sweden, 4-3 Canada overtime. He's doing it again here. USA 5, Finland 1. Oh, there it is in the chat. Bet the sky on North Carolina and North Carolina A&T and Elon under 144.5. Then I've got more work to do here, which I look forward to doing. But Bobano is on Monmouth minus 135, and I maintain my interest in Stony Brook. I don't know if I'm going to be able to have the conviction to go up against Bobano, but I'm certainly going to test the waters after the show. Bobano on UT Arlington makes sense to me against Cal Baptist off that big win. I'm interested in joining him. I'm on NJIT first half plus 10 at minus 110. I've got 2 pig on the sweet lips, or sorry, lipstick on the sweet lips of a pig bets. That's the NJIT plus 10 first half. That is right now a 9.5. Okay, that's fine, a half point. And then I'm also on Mercyhurst first half plus 7. I would like to see that line move with me as well, because the full game has moved. Oh, it's moved back now. Uh-oh. And the first half is still right there, plus 7. Okay, that's not great. Not great. By the way, Eberg says with who's out for Houston, line just moved 40 cents here as well. So we will look back at that. Bobano on NJIT plus 17, the over 148. Bobano on U Albany plus 5.5 minus 102. He's on Longwood plus 11 in the over 155. He's on Mercyhurst full game plus 12.5. I'm on first half plus 7. Hofstra, William and Mary, we stayed off. Bobano on the over 149.5 in Charleston, UNC Wilmington. He's on the over 149.5 in Old Dominion, Georgia State. He's on the over 144.5 in James and Madison, Georgia Southern. Troy Torrance on Campbell plus 4.5. Bobano also on Campbell plus 4.5. I have interest in Delaware. I'm looking at it a little more. I know the line maybe has moved too far. Bobano on La Tech minus 5. He's on Marshall plus 5. I'd like to join him on that in the over 136.5. I think it might be a double up spot on South Dakota State. I want to see the market just stay right where it is. But come on. a 16-10 team that's 10-1 in the Summit goes to Brookings, South Dakota, and is a 10-point dog, double-digit dog. I want to take the favorite in that type of a battle. Tennessee Tech, Little Rock, we stayed off. Bobano on New Mexico State plus 3.5. I'm very interested. And he's on Montana minus 4.5. I'm very interested in that. UC Riverside, UC Davis was a stay off spot, but I have interest in UC Davis. I also have interest in the Lumberjacks of Northern Arizona. I'm going to look at that after the show. Bobano on the over 145.5 there. A Rogue Energy on South Dakota State, Jacksonville State, UC Irvine, and the under 137.5 in SIU Edwardsville and UT Martin Skyhawks. I'm very interested in UC Irvine as well, coming off the loss for a smash and grab. Bobano on the Dons at plus 14.5. I'm very interested in Gonzaga here. The line is ridiculous. Here's another spot. You have a 20-6 team that's 10-3 in conference coming against a team that has a worse record overall, a worse record in conference, and the better record in conference is 14.5-point dogs. Everybody, their mama is going to want those points. Not my mama. Daby Cab on Maryland first half plus 1 at minus 105. That's going up against BJ's best bet on Nebraska money line. Troy also on Nebraska. Bobano on USF plus 7.5. The over 151.5. Daby on Memphis first half minus 3.5. Minus 115. We just reviewed NBA, so that is our show for Thursday, February 13th. Tomorrow, all college basketball, all the time. We'll cap every single game on the college basketball card. Please join us right here for that. Thank you all in the chat. E. Burke, Kelly McInnes, AOD, Nasty Nate, Rick J, Jim Rome's a douche, back in business. Nutflush Allen, Mark Kell, ready to go. Great to see you. And AOD, thank you for all the positivity you bring to us each and every day. It's so helpful, man. Lil Domo, shout out to Chill Will too. Can't wait to rock with you guys in San Antone. Turnsy, great to see you. The Juice, Big Mastro, back in business. Shout out to Windsor, Ontario, and the Detroit River. Thank you guys so much for all that you do for us, man. Andrew G, Rick J, JW, Thomas Maggio, True Allah, 4th and 1 Entertainment. Thank you guys. We have nothing without you. It means the world. Lucky Power in the house. Thank you, Lucky Power. Jose, my friend, take us home, lead us into the future, and it's great to see you, my friend.
Plus 400, Alex Bregman to hit 30 home runs, according to our friends at FanDuel. I'll easily love that bet for myself there, so don't you worry.
Can I take it?
Oh, I mean, no, you cannot take that bet.
Why don't you put $100
we'll do our steak bet straight up.
No, please let me be
one whole steak. I think people eat it medium rare is the preferred way. But God bless you.
Please send all of your action or your Bregman props my way. I'll take it.
I can't wait. It's gonna be great. The sun is shining. Over 86.
Please credit, man. You can bet as much as you want with me, man.
I know I could. I bet I could. Shout out to Greg as well.
And shout out to Redbeard in the house. Saturated says they'll even give you better odds. We all want that action. Shout out to Redbeard, great friend of the channel as well, gifting a Pub Sports Radio membership. Thank you, Redbeard. Please come down to San Antonio so we can buy you several beverages. And thank you for all the support you give us. KT getting the gift. Shout out to you guys, man. Jose, take us home.
I feel like I just walked into the casino and the casino is just begging me to play here. Like, please play here. Sit down. But you know who doesn't say that, Jimmy? The MGM Grand, where I actually know is Circa, where I just.
You've muted yourself in all that excitement.
Oh, there we go. We're muted. Did I switch mics? Probably. It doesn't matter.
You switched mics, yeah.
Because
there you're back.
Going to have a great day today, damn it.
I'll give you plus 500. I'll give you plus 500 on that Bregman.
I refuse. But God bless him. He's going to have a great year. I can't wait. 35 home runs. 35 home runs incoming. And some milk from the bookies today. Leche. Alos. Bookmakers.
Plus 5.